Chris Avalon Unfiltered, bitch.
Hey y'all, what's going on? Happy Monday. It's your boy Chris Avalon, and welcome to a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered, a show we basically go in and talk about all things social media, entertainment news, hot topics, all the stuff that's floating around on the internet. We chat about it on this good old show. So before we get started, if you've been, please do me a solid and hit that like button and that subscribe button. Also, be sure to smash that notification bell so that way you know when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. And I know there's a lot of people going on vacation, whatever, for the holidays. I don't know what that means. I don't know what it means to take a break. I don't know what it means to take a vacation. I need to start doing one because I'm a workaholic just like my father. That's why I was like, I know I'm my father's child. But we got a lot of tea to spill. I'm going to give y'all a show today. I'm going to give you a show tomorrow. But of course, the holidays or whatever, I'm going to take maybe a couple of days off. And then we'll be back with more of the tea. But in the meantime, we got a lot of stuff to spill. I was going to be here this weekend and give y'all a show, but I couldn't. I was so busy with a lot of stuff. I went to go see Drag the Musical on shit. I knew there was something I forgot to do because I was like, I know I came in here to look for something. I wanted to get the playbill for Drag the Musical to show y'all, but we live and I don't feel like getting up. So, but I'm gonna show y'all a picture. I did get one with Alaska. Now I'm gonna show y'all. But so yeah, I went to go see Drag the Musical on. I wanted to call it Rusical so bad because of RuPaul's Drag Race. On Friday, Saturday, I ended up doing Annie. I wasn't supposed to work Saturday, but I ended up picking up a shift. So I wound up doing Annie. Annie was cute. Whoopi Goldberg did her thing. And she's not a Broadway girl, but she did what need to be done in regards to the role. She was a cute Miss Hannigan. So if y'all get a chance to get in, and it was very New York with a lot of the stuff that was in there, which is why I can't see it playing in any other city besides New York. So if you happen to get a chance and you have your trepidations and you're curious of whether or not you should check it out as a tourist or even a native New Yorker, I say go give it a gander. Go give their show a chance. Let them go, go and see it and get your, your iconic classic cinematic play, movie, whatever it was on. Because I think it was a play once upon a time. I just know the movie because of Carol Burnett. That's the only one I know. But I'm sure it was a musical once upon a time. But anyway, so there was that. And then yesterday I did a Rangers game. Of course they lost. I don't know what's going on. It's like every time they do a home game, they end up losing. And I was talking to some of my Ranger, my coworkers that are Ranger fans. I'm like, what's going on? What's good with your team? Like, why they keep losing? What's happening? And then it's just like, it's like y'all not playing, like y'all scared to hit a goal. Y'all scared to get hit. Like that's what hockey is. Hockey is brutal. That's why I say, I get anxiety. And I was talking to some of the Rangers fans, because that's what I do when I'm at work. And they were getting frustrated too. This is like it's not even like the coaches. They're talking about it's like some of the team members, and they got a lot of these young kids that's on there and whatever. So, the fans getting frustrated because they tired, they're like, but then again, look, the one thing I've always noticed when it comes to like, if you're passionate about teams or games or sports, whatever, it's not always about the moments when they win. Shouldn't be the only times that we support a team is when they're winning. It's that hope that they will get there. It's like stand with them no matter what. Like, because I know some people say that about the Mets fans. You try, your team's going to get there eventually. And they almost made it to the World Series this year, but it just didn't happen. But then the Yankees ended up going, and then they got beat by LA. So, meanwhile, while I got my damn LA hat on, right? So it was that. Yeah, and that's about as butch as y'all gonna see me get when I'm up in here talking about sports. And that's why I told you I'm a butch queen. I could do the sports stuff, and then we could talk homosexual stuff like Drag Race, which something we are going to get into later on. I do have speaking of Drag Race, two Drag Race topics. Plus, we're going to talk about Drag the Musical, as I told y'all. We got some news on Screen 8. We didn't even get Screen 7 yet, but there's news about Screen 8. We got to talk about Skeletor, because we were talking about, I was like, okay, so they got the whole cast of who's going to be playing who in Masters of the Universe. And I'm like, what's good with Skeletor? We finally got our Skeletor. We're going to talk about it. And there's rumors going around that a Stranger Things actress is the frontrunner to play Jean Grey in the upcoming X-Men reboot. We're gonna talk about who that is. It ain't Millie Bobby Brown, so you know. We're gonna talk about the Suicide Squad's David Ayer getting dragged on social media because you know he was a part of the original DCEU, but he gave congratulations to James Gunn's Superman, and people are upset about it. So we're gonna talk about that and the incels where y'all need to go outside and touch grass. There's drama going on between the James Bond shareholders, as in the Broccoli's, who own the rights to it, and Amazon, where they call them effing idiots. So we're going to talk about that. Plus, Luigi Mangione appeared in court this morning and pleaded not guilty, as he should. But we'll talk about that and a whole lot more. I'm also going to play out a clip of his attorney going in on the way he's been treated, plus our dumbass freaking mayor, who I haven't even heard anything about him regarding this whole situation of that woman that was set on fire on an F train. I saw that video. Somebody sent it to me yesterday, and then I saw it again today. It's all over Twitter if y'all want to check that out. But that was freaking. I didn't even know how to react to it because that was just insane to me. And they caught the person, and you know they're gonna start this whole situation about a damn migrant, because that's what it looked like, that lit her ass on the person's behind on fire, unfortunately. Plus, we got to talk about all this drama with Drake and Spotify. Spotify's clapping back. Now, Drake's legal team is clapping back at Spotify's clapback. So they're going back and forth. And speaking of clapbacks, we got to talk about Blake Lively and this huge lawsuit that she has going on between her and Justin Baldoni. She filed a lawsuit against him over the weekend, accusing him of sexual harassment. Taylor Swift's been dragged into it, hence why you see her in the thumbnail. Taylor Swift's been dragged into it. Hailey Bieber's been dragged into it. Ben Affleck, her own husband, Ryan Reynolds, almost said Ryan Murphy, but he's homosexual, so he ain't married to a woman. And a bunch of other celebrities. So we're going to get into that. Plus, we got to talk about Wendy Williams and the fact that she's been running around in these streets on a scooter. And, you know, this Sabrina, what's good with her and her lies? Because she talking about the woman is frail and incapacitated. It don't look like it. She went to her son's graduation. And like I said, we have the drag race stuff. So we got that and a whole lot more. So be sure, as I said, oh my God, where am I going? Because I was like, oh yeah, I got to go to Instagram and look up the photo. So yeah, as I said before, if you can, please hit that like button and that subscribe button. And also be sure to smash that notification button so that way you know when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. Wait, what? They said Biden withdraws proposals on trans athlete protections and student debt relief while he's at it. But why did y'all think that he was going to actually, y'all really thought that he was going to protect the trans people and then he was actually going to do the whole story there? Biden, child, look, don't even get me started because I was going to say, like, he's a horrible president. And the funny part is, we're about to get somebody 10 times worse. So who we gonna be ping ponging back and forth? Biden's a horrible ass president. I don't know why they made Dementia Joe the damn president. We about to get bigger dementia. Donald Trump, or sorry, we about to get Elon Musk as the president, and Donald's gonna be the vice president, which y'all are pissing him off with that. And I found it funny that that's trending on social media. If you go on to Twitter, they calling him Vice President Trump, and he is pissed off, and I am cackling at the drama mama, as we should, because he's a mess. But anyway, I don't want to get too much into politics today. The only political stuff I really want to focus on with this show is when we talk about Luigi Mangione. All the other stuff, Donald Trump can go, eat a bag of dicks for all I care. But he going after us content creators. But anyway, let me see what's going on. I see Onyx is in the building. Said hello, hello, hello. Biden will probably go down as the worst. Thank you for saying that. He is the worst president of this century. Something we thought couldn't get any worse than George Bush. And that's why when you got bought and paid for folk like what's her name? Whoopi Goldberg and them talking about, oh, he had a he's one of the best presidents and flawless, child. Now, the people will say the best president would have been either Barack Obama, although he had his things going on that I didn't particularly care for as a politician. But what could you do when you're a person who's black? But then again, there were some things he was doing behind the scenes I didn't particularly like either. But they'll probably say JFK was probably the best president. But wasn't that pre 21st century? I don't know if we've had but yeah, that was the 20th century when he was the president. We're in the 21st century right now. So He probably is the worst president. And I don't care what these Democrats and stuff say. And it's funny because I really feel like I'm at a point, because I've always been a registered Democrat. And I think that's only because of my parents. But, and I think a lot of times we as kids, when we were growing up, and I think some of them still are like that, but I think like the newer generation is getting smarter and not following what their parents do politically. They do when they're kids and they don't know no better. But the more that they do the research and figure out things, then they realize I'm about to change my political stuff. I'm not agreeing with what y'all agree with, or what you raised me to believe, and all that other stuff. So I think I'm about to become independent because fuck both sides, in my opinion. You said Kendrick Lamar is Billboard's top pop star 2024. You want to know something that's going to piss Drake off? Because at one point, he was a pop star. Except, what, the other day I was actually watching a video to They Not Like Us while I was working. I was doing a crit walk while I was sitting. Like, I was like, you know what? That song, this is about, say what y'all want about him. And yeah, Kendrick Lamar doesn't do a lot of pop-ish type songs like Drake does, but that song slaps. No shade. I said we might have to get used to Republicans because Democrats don't believe in the candidates we want to choose. Yeah, because they want to sit and pick who they want to pick, and it's like we don't want them. We didn't want Biden. Well, I know I didn't. We don't be want half the people, and then y'all went and picked some old ass man with esophageal cancer over AOC. I'm like, really? Y'all. So this is and that was that dumb bitch Nancy Pelosi. Don't even get me started on her. And you said, I registered as a Democrat 2 months ago, but I do kind of wish I registered as independent. Look, you can still change it. But there are times where I do lean more conservative. I think most people in America, we embody both sides. I think that me personally, I am a fiscal conservative. But I do believe in a lot of stuff in regards of like liberal stuff. I believe in live and let live. If you're not hurting me, if you're not affecting me, what you do with your life, that's your business. I don't understand why people want to assert themselves. Well, you don't believe in the religion that I believe in, so therefore we got to force you to do things. Oh, I don't believe in trans. Okay, you don't have to believe in trans because you don't have to. If you don't believe in trans or whatever the case is, then don't change into a trans person. If you don't believe in gay marriage, don't marry a homosexual. I mean, it's that simple. If you don't like black people, don't fuck with them. I just don't understand why people feel the need to, I don't like something, but then I have to. So, you want to know something? I'm glad you reminded me, Desmond. I am so glad you reminded me because I'm like, oh, we got to check up on Austin Wolf because we've been keeping track of his case, and every time I turn around when that date comes up, because Luigi is in the same prison as Austin Wolf and the Diddler. So I was like, oh, we gotta keep thank you for reminding me because now I'm gonna have to do the research. I'm just hoping that it's not going to be another damn delay. And then they're going to be like, no, now you got to wait till January 25th or 26th or whatever. So I'm like, please. Now, Diddy already got his stuff up and rolling. Luigi got his stuff up and rolling. Austin was good. Why is it taking you so damn long to get going? If they got all this stuff against you, you keep delaying your damn trial. What's happening with that? So that's kind of annoying. But anyway, let's get into the show. Because we got a lot of stuff to spill. I had to come on here early too because once I updated my computer and it asked me to do that seemed like every other month, which is annoying. Then I have to like re-sign into everything, which is why I got to re-sign in my Facebook, my Instagram, my TikTok, all that stuff. And it's so frustrating with this damn computer. I got a gamer computer. That's why I'm able to do the show the way I'm able to do it. And I know I'm streaming live on Twitch, but with this new setup with StreamYard, I'm like, I had to figure out what all the buttons and stuff was. So I'm glad I came on here early because otherwise I would have got a late show per usual. I said, oh. Well, yeah, I have a strange feeling that is what he's planning on doing to rat out a lot of people to save his own behind. I've seen enough episodes of Law and Order SVU when they've done those S trafficking rings or child P or CP rings and stuff that they do online, and they be arresting somebody and they be like, well, yeah, I may have been a little fish in the big pond, but I can get you the bigger fish. And they rat them out. So I do feel like that is what's going to happen. Okay, so now let's get into our first topic and let's talk about Scream 8. Oh wait, hold on. Let me take that off because I wanted to give y'all an update on this whole situation. So before we get to Scream 8, I do want to talk about Alaska Thunderfoot's new play called Drag Musical. I went and saw it. It was great. Shout out to my friend David, who got me to go because he knows Alaska and he actually knows Alaska's boyfriend who's working in the show and who actually got us the tickets. We got tickets at the table, which was next to the stage, which was cute or whatever. However, it did kind of annoy me at times because, they come out into the audience and I had to like do a lot of turning and stuff at times to see what was going on. And you have part of the show that comes out into the audience to get up on the stage because it's a cute venue. It's at New World Stages, which they actually have like, I think 2 floors and they have a multitude of shows within that building, which is actually pretty cool though. And it's on like 50th Street. So when I got to go up in there, it was cute or whatever. I got to get a picture with Alaska. This was after the show was over. And then you see Laguna Blue with the blue wig on. That's over in the corner. I met her. She was lovely as well. Juju B was in it. Jan Sport is in it. Lux Noir London is in it. So there's a lot of queens from Drag Race. They definitely, all the girls with the phenomenal voices. Jan was cute or whatever. Juju B and we had a brief conversation, had to remind her when we met years ago. And she cracked a joke or something to get me like, I don't know, I guess I was like in serious mode or whatever at the time. And she did say something and my friend David reminded her and then she was like, oh yeah, and then was talking about, because I think it was at a Mimi I'm First event that she was doing where she was bringing a bunch of the Drag Race girls together to do like a show or whatever. And then would pick like a local, she was traveling all over the world. I mean, all over the United States, I think. And would bring like a local queen to come out and perform. I don't remember who it was. I think it was Aquaria, if I'm not mistaken. But there was like a local queen that was before she went on Drag Race. So there was like a local queen they brought out and performed all this other stuff. And then that reminded me of that was the reminder of where Jujubee and I ever met. And then Alaska was talking about how this show literally took her, when we were conversing, 8 years to put together. So seeing her glow up since I had the opportunity and the pleasure of interviewing her during the season finale. I don't know where that video is. It's somewhere on YouTube. If y'all able to find it, let me know. But I got to interview Alaska back when she did season 5 of Drag Race. And it was like the finale where I got to interview a lot of the queens from the show. And it was literally like before Drag Race blew up to what it is. It was literally like, I kid you not, you can count on one hand how much of media was in those rooms interviewing these queens at the time. The biggest conglomerate was Viacom. And to see how far it came, because I told y'all when I worked the season 17 event, which I knew the minute I was like, when I went up in there, the numbers was not doing what needed to be done in regards to that video. So I wound up changing the headline, and all of a sudden I saw those numbers spike. So that was a smart thing. And the spirit was telling me to do that. I was like, the way you put that title in, get rid of it. If you put in your overall thoughts about season 17, people are going to want to go and read and watch it. And so I want to thank y'all for watching that video. But in regards to this, it was great to see like Alaska's glow up from where she's been, where she started out to where she is now. I even said the fact that it was cute to see that she kind of surpassed her ex, Sharon Needles, in, her glow up and blow up, because, Sharon kind of been canceled from some of them racist things. And they said she was grooming the children and all that other, all those alleged allegations that came out back in the day, and a lot of queens was saying they having and I forgot to mention, Frankie Grande was there, Ariana brother, and I was like, ooh, I feel bad because I'm about to talk about your sister on this show. I was going to do that today, but I'm actually save that story for tomorrow because we have way too much to talk on that I thought was like relatively way more interesting. But yeah, Frankie Grande came up in there with his little bleached blonde hair. I recognized him before my friend did. So I said, oh, Frankie Grande's here. He actually sat front row. I sat at the table. He sat in the front row with another guy. And then as we was leaving, we actually ran into some dude that was a flight attendant. I can't remember his name. I'm horrible with names, and everybody knows that runs into me. So forgive me if I forget your name. But he was cool and everything. And he was talking about how he was sitting next to Frankie, and then they were like was asking us like about how much was the tickets, and all that. I was like, "Child, we don't know. We got comped." I was like, "We don't know how much the tickets are." But I did look at some of the prices. The tickets are not expensive. Like I think The tickets are probably between $50 to $130 or something or another, which is, I think, way better than how much they would ask you for like a maybe Sunset Boulevard or any one of those shows, or even Moulin Rouge with JoJo and them, and what's his name, and Andy Tveit or whatever his name is, which I think is a cutie. But anyway, so seeing this play, if y'all get a chance, definitely check it out. Definitely support your queens, because when we get into the show later on, we got to talk about Selena Estes, who's coming out saying that the drag girls are struggling to get booked and stuff. So to see a show like this, where Alaska created a show about two former friends who, two, former lovers who broke up and had like this, and created these rival clubs across the street from each other, and all the shenanigans and drama that ensued within that, and seeing seeing like the queens and them performing and the dancing and the songs are catchy. Alaska doing her over the top facial expressions. She was very much giving me I don't know, the play reminded me of like, it gave me kind of like Hedwig and the Angry Inch vibes. And I was like, you know what? If the opportunity ever presents itself, and I brought this up in the conversation, I was like, I would love to see Drag the Musical turn into a feature film in the vein of like what they did with Hedwig, because, Hedwig started out on Broadway, I think it was off Broadway. It was getting a lot of buzz in New York before it became like this film with John Cameron Mitchell, who I met like 100 years ago. So I would love to see this show have the opportunity to be made into a film, get those songs in there. Maybe you could add a couple of more songs and just see like this whole thing work out in the way. And you can shoot it in New York and have like a little rival studio, whatever. I mean, your rival clubs, and it'd be bigger than what it is in regards to like bigger productions, that sort of thing, but doesn't take away the essence of what the show is. And I did kind of tear up during one part because one of the girls that was in the relationship. I can't remember the queen's name, but the person that is the rival to Alaska's character in the play, she had this falling out with her brother, because I guess her brother was teasing her for being gay and all this other stuff. And he kind of comes in and tries to clean it up, because she's about to lose her club because she's behind on the bills. And he's an accountant. And then he brings his son, whose mother died, and his wife, the guy's wife, his brother's wife died. So he kind of comes along, but he's also having these thoughts about, he likes the clothes and the dresses and the beads and stuff. So he might be a little homosexual, a baby gay. And it kind of plays into this whole let kids, figure out who they are and all this other stuff. So seeing that thing and seeing the fact of like how you see this kid who can't be himself because his father saying, like, oh, you can't wear dresses and you can't wear this, you can't do that. It kind of resonated with me in a sort of way, because it's like that kid in us where we have to hide who we are as homosexuals, and because you don't want to you don't want to go against your parents, or you don't want to be abandoned or kicked out or whatever the case is. So just seeing that moment, I did kind of tear up a bit, I will admit. I was hiding it, but I told my friend, I was like, damn, this play got me crying, it got me in my feelings, the songs had me going. So Alaska, well done, and congratulations to you, and I can't wait to see what else she brings in the future, regardless if it's new music, other plays, films, whatever the case is, because she is definitely a talent. And she's definitely shown off her, as we say, charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent. So if you get a chance, like I said, go ahead and see Drag the Musical. Now, without further ado, now let's get into Scream 8 news. Now, we haven't even gotten Scream 7. We know that the script is done. We know that they've locked in a lot of the cast. But child, already they are up in here talking about Scream 8. And I'm like, damn, can we get Scream 7 first? So, according to Daniel Rickman, aka Daniel RPK, who is a industry insider, Scream 8 is already in development via Paramount and Spyglass, even though, like I said, Scream 7 hasn't even begun shooting yet. Now, the rumor is that Scream 7 is supposed to start shooting in January and supposed to wrap up in March. And then, of course, after that, Spyglass's other conglomerate, Thanksgiving 2, is going to start shooting late March until however long they're planning on shooting. And, we're still waiting, speaking of those movies, the reason why I'm bringing those up is because we're still waiting to find out if Patrick Dempsey is going to sign on to reprise his role as Mark Kincaid. As y'all know, he was in Scream 3, who was one of the detectives on the case regarding Sydney, and we found out who the killer was her damn brother, Roman, who her mother then had a baby and gave him up, and there was all this other drama. because she was being all in Hollywood. Or was he a product of rape? I'm trying to remember. It's been a minute since I've seen Scream 3 in regards to that whole situation. And she kind of just abandoned Roman because she didn't want to be about that life or have him in her life as that reminder. So since then, it has been implied, especially in Scream 5, that Sydney had married Mark and they had children. And so now we've already got the kids cast. We only know one of them. We don't know if McKenna Grace is going to be the other daughter of hers, but we already know from the first one she had multiple children. She ain't had one. So we're supposed to be getting that. And yeah, so he's talking about Scream 8. But here's the thing. We can take this with a grain of salt on whether or not, Scream 8 will be part of a trilogy, because that is the rumor that is going around that we're getting a trilogy. Now, sometimes the trilogies work, sometimes the trilogies don't. And to be honest, like I said, I'd rather wait and see how well Scream 7 does. And I think Scream 7 will do well because it is part of a franchise. People love Sidney Prescott. We want to see how it does. Even the haters that are sitting up here talking about, well, justice for Melissa Barrera and all this other stuff, I do feel like the OG Scream fans will come out. I do feel like the low-key haters will go and hate watch this movie out of curiosity because they want to see if the movie does well. And I think there are going to be just regular horror movie fans who don't care about all this pomp and circumstance surrounding Spyglass and Melissa Barrera and her Free Palestine and all that stuff. There are people who genuinely don't pay attention to all of this, don't give a good goddamn about all this pomp and circumstance and this drama, and are just going to go see the movie because it's Scream, because they know Sidney Prescott, and it's familiar. And that's why I feel like we fall within that. Another thing I want to say is I'm glad that we got Kevin Williamson back on board, who wrote the original Scream. He also wrote Scream 2, and he wrote Scream 4. So I'm glad that we're kind of getting all that in. I have been hearing that, this alleged trilogy that's going to be coming in is, based off an idea that Kevin Williamson, I believe, had a while back, but wasn't able to work all that out because he was busy with other projects. And he couldn't fully 110% focus on the rest of, all the lore of Scream and being fully involved in Scream. But he has been behind the scenes as an executive producer. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Kevin Williamson did a show called The Following that was on with Kevin Bacon, that was on Fox. And it kind of followed like this serial killer cult thing. So I think that maybe he's probably going to take that idea and bring it into Scream, which I actually think would be a good idea because I would love like a whole Scream cult thing. But then again, when it comes down to it, and we incorporate the Scream cult idea, people always want to bring in Stu Macher. And as you already know, have I said many a times on this show when we talk Scream, sick of y'all with the whole damn the Stu Macher narrative. Now, if they do find a way that they could bring him back in 30 years later, I'm all ears and I'm willing to see how it all plays out. However, I do feel like it is time to let the whole Stu Macher narrative go. Can we just focus on something else and a more interesting idea? And because, when it comes to Scream has always been about being a reflection of the times and how people view pop culture and infamy and becoming famous and murder and all that stuff. Like, it's always been a reflection of the times that we're in. And I do feel like the times that we're in, people are obsessed with regular people, making them celebrities or martyr or whatever how you want to call it. And I feel like that's kind of the direction that they could probably take with that. But we have no idea even what Scream 7 is about. But they're trying to work in a Scream 8. Now, I hope they do it really well if there is a plan for a trilogy, because here we got a Strangers trilogy nobody asked for, and there's no shade, but the only Strangers movie I liked was the one with Liv Tyler and Scott Speedman. That's the only Strangers movie that I like. These other ones that y'all came out with, Prayer at Night was okay. Some of the kill sequences I thought was pretty cool. Overall, I thought the movie was trash. And don't even get me started on this recent one that just came out that nobody went to the damn movies to see. And nobody asked for a trilogy, because one of the things that I despise about film when it comes to horror films, I don't want to know the full backstory of my killer. That is one of the reasons why I don't particularly care for Rob Zombie's version of Halloween, because you wanted to justify why Michael did the things that he did, which basically just ransacked and ruined the lore that John Carpenter created. He just wanted to be like, you know what? He is the Shape. He is somebody who just goes in and kills just because it's in his DNA. He felt like doing it. And to me, that is more scary than, Oh, I came from a broken home. Oh, my mama was a whore. Oh, my daddy was a drunk. Oh, I always got my ass beat. So now I'm mad at the world and I'm going to go out and kill people. It's like that narrative is so played out. It's so lame. I despise it. And sometimes I feel like it's a lot scarier when it's just like, you know what? Some people just fucked up. That's just the way it is. That some people just wake up in the morning and you know what? I find it relatively interesting that I would just want to go and kill an animal and dissect it and play with its guts. Like this is some people that just screwed up in that way. And that to me is okay. Everything doesn't need an explanation or even an over explanation. So in regards to that, but then again, you know, when it comes to Scream is always, as what I call it, my modern day Scooby-Doo. So we always know we go in, there's always when you kill people, there has to be a motivation as to why they're doing what they're doing. So when it comes to Scream, that is kind of like the foundation is always built on. So we need the reason as to the why you're doing what you're doing. So, as I stated, no official plot details have been revealed about Scream 7, but we do know who's signed on to appear in the next installment of the slasher franchise. Now, in addition to our veteran final girls, Neve Campbell, we have returning actors Courtney Cox and Mason Gooding, who, you know, Mason Gooding was in 5 and 6, Scream 5 and 6. And I also forgot to bring this up when I made the announcement about Courtney Cox officially signing on, because at first I had thought she had signed on a while ago, but apparently she hadn't. It became official last week that she had signed on to be in the film, even though we knew she was coming back. But she apparently has made history as the longest surviving cast member to appear in all 7 Scream movies. Because, you know, now it would have been Neve Campbell and her would have been tied, but Neve wasn't in Scream 6. Courtney Cox has been in every Scream movie. So she's literally made horror movie history with that. Now, a new additions to the cast include McKenna Grace, Isabel May, Celeste O'Connor, Sam Reckner, and Asa Gurman. Now, speaking of Daniel RPK, he did make the announcement that there was another actor that was signed on to be in Scream 7, but it turned out not to be true because we don't officially have his name a part of the cast. Now, as I stated earlier, there is no word that if Jasmine Savoy Brown, who played Gooding's twin sister Mindy Meeks Martin, or Patrick Dempsey, who appeared in Scream 3 as Detective Mark Kincaid and now resides as Sydney's husband, will sign on. I'm hoping that they will. I'm sure they'll probably come in late, kind of like Jennifer Love Hewitt with I Know What You Did Last Summer reboot. Like they already started filming and she didn't officially, the announcement wasn't officially made that she had signed on until they were already well into filming the new movie. So Kevin Williamson is directing. The script was written by Guy Busick. And the movie is set to slice and dice its way into theaters on February 27th, 2026. So we got a whole year where we got to wait a year and a month almost, and a couple of days in December until, you know, we get this movie. And I'm excited. I'm definitely curious to see where they're going to go with the Scream franchise. What story they're gonna be able to tell with, you know, Sydney, and what other story they could tell, especially when, you know, she has, you know, kids to protect. And hopefully her husband will be in the picture, unless they can't get Patrick Dempsey to sign on. Then it's like, okay, maybe he's off at a conference, he's off doing something, and he wasn't able to be there to protect, you know, his family. But, you know, when it comes to these type of horror films, it's always about the final girl. The final girl has always got to be the center. They've got to be, this is where they get to shine and be the strong character that we know them to be. That you can't have the man up in here doing too much. So they got to find a way to, I guess, make Mark not necessarily be in full commission, because if you are still a cop and you're married to Sidney Prescott in the town in which you live, which is Seattle, he could probably be a sheriff, actually, that they can upgrade him, that they move to Seattle. He's got a higher paying job. He could be a sheriff of the town in which they live in. And, you know, you have Sydney, not her real name, but the character, playing who she's playing and doing what she's doing. And then her daughter's being a pain in the ass because, you know, teenagers, when it comes to, they don't want to listen. They want to, you know, run off with their friends. They think their mama don't know what the hell she's talking about. Meanwhile, she done survived 4.5 damn movies. And I say 4.5 because in Scream 5, she was only in the movie part of it. She wasn't in it all of it. She didn't show, she was a little bit in the beginning, and then she didn't show up until like the third act when we lost Dewey, which I'm still mad at them for doing that. You'll kill off one of your damn the veteran characters that y'all didn't have ties with radio silence, but we got plot armor on your core 4. Okay. So here's the thing. Now, that's what irritates me. It's like you got these newbies coming in all mad about Melissa Baratheon. And don't get me wrong, I told you I'm still a little irritated about the whole situation, how Spyglass handled that. But to go and kill all people that I grew up with and had this total connection with that has been stabbed multiple times. I don't know who got stabbed more, him or was it Chad Meeks Martin? Who got stabbed the most? I may have to go back and start watching those movies. Because, you know, Dewey got stabbed in the first Scream. I think he got stabbed in the majority of the movies. Scream 2, they really did him in one good. But he survived, which is always like the running joke. But then it was like, Chad, I feel like got stabbed more times. I'm like, and he's still alive? Okay. You ain't lose a lung? But anyway, so I'm going on a rant right now, but let's wrap this up. So I say all this to say, what do y'all think of this news? Are you guys here for a Scream 8, or are you even here for a trilogy? I say if y'all got a good story that you could tell in 3 installments, I'm here for it. Just don't disappoint us like they did at Hello. Y'all got an Exorcist trilogy y'all supposed to been doing. That got chopped, and now we got oh my god, I forgot the guy's name, but he does a lot of really good he done a lot of really good horror films. He did that series, The House, what is it? The House on Haunted Hill, something or another that was on Netflix. Mike Flanagan, that's his name. I might have got the program wrong, but Mike Flanagan is doing The Exorcist after David Gordon Green did that travesty of a movie. And then, you know, don't even get me started on David Gordon Green with Halloween, because I love Halloween 2018. Halloween Kills had its moments. I love some of the kill sequences. But Halloween Ends, as much as I got the direction of what you was trying to do with that whole Corey Cunningham story, it was not good. But I enjoy it for what it is, but the execution was a mess. So if you're going to do a trilogy, you need to make sure that you guys got an outline and you really have a story that you're going to be willing to tell, and don't disappoint us in that area. And I'm tired I think Halloween, y'all need to slow y'all roll with these trilogies. But man, we are getting a trilogy for 28 years later. We're getting a trilogy with that. They already got 2 of the movies done. So we're waiting for the 3rd one. So slow your roll a little bit. But if you have a story, I'm here for it. And, you know, as a Scream fan, but I feel like after this trilogy, I definitely need to wrap up Sydney's story. Y'all gonna have her well into her damn 60s and 70s. Y'all gonna have her like Jamie Lee Curtis doing Halloween until she's well into her 60s. So I say all this to say, whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. I mean, they did arrest the Telegram CEO. Oh, yeah, but is he still in? Well, the Telegram CEO, is he still in jail? You said is that Coco was with Alaska? That was me standing next to Alaska. I was like, what other drag queen was up there? He said about Party City. Oh, that was funny. When Party City, they heard. I mean, you know, when they made the announcement that Party City was closing, um, we had who was it? I saw the post that Jeremy Carey, you know, the artist formerly known as Fifi O'Hara, posted on her Twitter and posted a gif of her waving, like bye, which was hilarious. I love that she has a sense of humor after all these years. He said Elon Musk was replaced. It's 2 new people in Dodge. What does that mean? That he's no longer got power in the thing? And I'm like, are you sure? Because maybe you trying to say that and muzzle him because because you know Trump don't like to be upstage. But I'm like, if he donated 450 some $1 million to help you win this election, I don't know if you pretty much have a say on pushing Elon to the back. But like I was saying, like, yeah, just because you got a whole lot of money and you're wealthy and you do good with your businesses doesn't necessarily mean that you understand politics. And it has been proven time and time again that Elon's an idiot. He's not a smart guy. Just because you good at creating missiles, which I wish he would climb up on one and go into damn space and stay there, doesn't mean that you know what you talking about when it comes to politics. And clearly Genocide Clyde don't know what Apartheid Clyde don't know what the hell he's talking about in regards of any kind of political stuff. I know we weren't talking about politics. I saw that coming, that you know who wasn't happy when President Musk was trending. Of course he's not, because at the end of the day, Trump only cares about he doesn't like to be upstaged. It's all about ego with him. Like people sit up here and think he really cares about people. No, he only cares about himself. He only cares about his ego. He only cares about how he looks in the eyes of the people. So he don't care about all that other stuff. He's not gonna let, slowpoke, because Elon looked like he's slow. I don't know if it's the drugs or whatever, allegedly, but you know, it is what it is. I was like, let me close that window. I was like, what's our next topic? Okay, so now let's move on to our second topic because now we have news. Jared Leto has been officially cast as Skeletor in the upcoming Masters of the Universe movie. Now, by the power of Grayskull, Jared Leto become a jacked up, cranially exposed supervillain. Now, my thing is, does he have to become jacked up? Because when I look at Jared Leto pretty much looks like he's in great shape. I also think that he's in his 50s, but still looks relatively young. So I don't know what kind of sorcery is going on, but you one of those real white folks that don't age like rotten milk. So according to Deadline, Jared Leto, who has been in many a movie like House of Gucci and Dallas Buyers Club, which he got the Oscar for, and he is currently about to start in Tron Ares, which is coming out in 2025, I believe. Haven't heard much about that movie, but I have seen online stills, and I'm like, it looks pretty cool. And I love the fact that we have Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross doing the music. And I am a fan of their. I think they do well, even though like the music industry is in the shitter, and he has stated that. I do think that him behind the scenes scoring music is definitely where he needs to stay because that's like where you make good money doing it, and you get to be creative. So yeah, he's been confirmed as for the role of Skeletor, having initially been linked to the project back in September. Others now aboard include Sam C. Wilson from the House of the Dragon as Trapjaw, Hafthor Bjornsson from the Northmen as Goatman, and Kojo Ata in the Gray as Triclops. Now, the primary antagonist for the Masters of the Universe franchise, Skeletor is a powerful and cunning sorcerer, serving as the arch nemesis of our hero He-Man, played by the previously announced Nicholas Galitzine, one of Skeletor's key henchmen. Trapjaw is a recurring villain in the franchise, known for his cybernetic enhancements and versatile weaponry. Goatman is a minor villain, known for his goat-like appearance and association with Skeletor's forces, while Triclops is one of Skeletor's most resourceful and tech-savvy henchmen, a skilled swordman who's a master of surveillance and technology. Now, as previously reported, we have Alison Brie on board as Evelyn. Also, Idris Elba is playing Man-at-Arms. And to me, I'm liking the idea of this. Now, hold on. I want to show you a picture of the other cast members that was mentioned. So I'm definitely liking this so far because, when I first heard about Jared Leto, because I couldn't think of it, I was like, who are they going to pick to be Skeletor? I could not, for the life of me, see any actor since, because, even though I know the original movie with Dolph Lundgren is kind of cheesy, I do like that movie. And I thought Frank Langella did a phenomenal job as Skeletor. He ate in that role, even though the movie was what it was. It's funny, I was like, you get those theatrical type of actors and stuff who would jump into something and they'll really give you like impeccable stage, like they're in the theater, like they'll give you A-list pristine acting, even in the shittiest of films. And we've seen it happen many a times. Where it'll be like the actor was good in it, but the movie was crap. That's what a good actor is supposed to do. So even though it was like my childhood and it was from the 80s, and yeah, you can kind of look at it and see how cheesy the original film was, I do like the idea that it feels like that they're taking this movie really seriously. They're picking a lot of really good actors. Some of these other actors that they mentioned here that's next to Jared Leto, I have no idea who they are. I've never really seen them. And well, I did see The Northman. That's not true. But can't remember exactly who was, all the people's of it. The only one I remember from Northman was Alexander Skarsgård. And he definitely did he did great in that role. And I don't necessarily remember it because I only saw it one time. But yeah, and then House of the Dragon, I mean, I've seen that. But I'm not to be no shade, but House of the Dragon, I was kind of disappointed with season 2. I'm hoping they do it better. But yeah, I was like, when looking back at them, I was like, you can't remember every damn character. They all look the same to me when you be watching House of the Dragon. So the only ones I remember is like Rhaenys and Rhaenyra and all, and some of the other characters up in there. But all the other characters, I just be like, okay, y'all all look the same to me, Chad. So watching this, I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with this film. Now, I do hope, because, the last one we always said was relatively cheesy. With this film, I'm really hoping they take more of a fantasy, action, serious approach. I'm talking about like bringing it into the world of like a Dungeons and Dragons, having that overall look, or speaking of which, House of the Dragon, have it kind of have that aesthetic, or a Lord of the Rings type of vibe, like the Rings of Power. Season 1 was like, but season 2 definitely elevated itself and has become the better show now. So I'm really hoping they kind of go into that direction and we spend more time on Eternia versus bringing it into the United States. Or not even the United States, into Earth, I should say. It's like a whole other planet. Bring it to the difference instead of bringing it to the planet Earth, because they did that with the original movie. They took us on planet Earth. We spent more time there than Eternia. I would really love to see how they world build Eternia, the politics, how what goes on in that world of the war, and seeing all the cool action sequences. Because I would definitely love to see how that all pans out and see like the different. Even the villains is up in here, the people who are the henchmen to Skeletor, their different personalities, and I just want to see that detail played out into that. Like I literally want to see my childhood toys come to life. Because I told y'all, and I'll tell you again, when I was a kid, I had Gray Skull, I had Snake Mountain, and we had like the rival houses, and I would build like little and all my toys and stuff. Pretty much would use my entire floor in my bedroom, have like my little toys and my homes, and all the little homes and tents, and I would build all kinds of really cool stuff to be like, these are the people that live within the town in between the both sides of Eternia and Castle Grayskull. And we'd have our little wars, and I could bring all my toys in it. So I'd be bringing in my He-Mans, I would have my Ninja Turtles, I would have all my toys. We'd be cross pollinating with the toys because like whatever toys was coming in, y'all was coming on our side, and we was gonna fight the other side. So I got really creative when it was in my childhood with all my toys and stuff. So seeing like something from my childhood being made into like an action movie, like it's really happening. I'm so excited to see what they're going to be doing with this film. I cannot wait to see it. And speaking of which, I know some people are probably a little hesitant about what's his name, Nicholas Galitzine, but let me show you a picture of him. So this boy been hitting the gym. He's already dyed his hair. The hair is blonde, and he is jacked. So yeah, it's not a really good photo that you can see, but it's like you get to see the outline. Those arms is arming. The boy definitely been eating a lot and hitting the gym. So he has, and I'm sure he's pretty tall in real life. So he's bulking up. What he needs to do, and they probably told him grow out your hair so we can give you the blonde, or y'all can go the whole Chris Hemsworth route where put a wig on him. Or you could add a little extra extensions or whatever in there to make his hair longer and fuller than what it is. Unless you're going to keep his hair like that. But everybody's saying like they don't know how they're going to work out the whole Prince Adam versus He-Man situation. You're going to get two different actors, or you're just going to have him like as regular Prince Adam. Look, if James Gunn could actually, for the first time in history, and based off the commercial or the trailer that we saw, make Clark Kent and Superman look like two completely different people without just the glasses. Like when you looked at David Corn Sweat during the trailer, and you literally saw how they made him look completely different. He had his hair looked longer and messier. He had the glasses on. He literally did look like a completely different person. Clark did not look like he could be Superman, where it's like, oh yeah, the only difference is we have to suspend our disbelief and put on the glasses, and all of a sudden he's completely different. He's not Superman. If they can find a way to make that work with this guy here, then I'm definitely here for it. But to wrap this up, it says that based on the iconic Mattel franchise, Masters of the Universe plot is being kept under wraps. Travis Knight is directing from a script by Chris Butler. David Callahan and Aaron and Adam Nee worked on the initial draft. Previously in development, at Sony and Netflix, thank God, because Sony has been horrible lately with their track record. And Netflix is a dime a dozen when they get a good damn movie that they pop up on their damn streamer. And they probably would have threw it directly to streaming. But look, I was like, look, the first time in a long time, they actually had a good movie that I was relatively enjoying on their streamer. And that was Carry On. But I guess it'll be another decade plus before we get another one. So I don't hold my breath when it comes to Netflix and good stuff. So I'm glad that Netflix is not a part of it. So they said the film is being produced by Escape Artists and Mattel Films for release exclusively in theaters worldwide on June 5th, 2026. Now, centered on the battle between the heroic He-Man, the universe's most powerful man, and the evil Skeletor, the Masters of the Universe franchise was introduced by way of a line of popular action figures in 1982. A year later, the animated series He-Man and the Masters of the Universe premiered, becoming one of the first children's programs to be syndicated on television during its 2-season run. Several other film and television adaptations followed, and today the franchise continues to span such consumer touch points as toys and video games. Now, an Academy Award winner recently seen in Haunted Mansion, We Crashed, and House of Gucci, Leto plays the title role in Disney's Tron Ares, which is slated for release on October 10th, 2025. In recent months, he's also signed on to Kent Powers' Lunatic Heist at Searchlight and entered talks to join Barry Levinson's JFK thriller Assassination. Why are we doing another JFK damn movie? How many of those are we going to do? If y'all want to watch a JFK movie, watch JFK with Oliver Stone. Like, why do we have to continue to keep making JFK stuff? But anyway, then it gives a whole Oh, so I was like, when they said Bjornsson, who we was talking about on the show, he actually he's an Icelandic strongman, and he played the Mountain on Game of Thrones. Now I know who he is. I'm like, wait, what? He does look familiar, but I don't remember. So he played the Mountain on Game of Thrones, which didn't the Mountain kill Pedro Pascal in the episode when, of Game of Thrones? So I think that's where the Mountain's from. And I'm like, yeah, you need those big dudes up in there. They said they could take it on. And I like the fact that we have Idris Elba a part of it. And they also said that so I think the other guy, what was his name? Because now they're saying previously seen in films like Wrath of Man and The Beekeeper, as well as Netflix hit series Supercell, Attar's upcoming slate includes roles in Guy Ritchie's action drama In the Grey opposite Henry Cavill, Isaac Gonzalez, and Jake Gyllenhaal, as well as the whodunit Murder at the Embassy. Is that the Murder at the Orient Express? Is that their next sequel? Because I know they were making another one. Don't even get me started on that one with dry-ass Gal Gadot and her horrible acting. But I like The Beekeeper. Wrath of Man was good. So he was in 2 Jason Statham movies. And I'm like, why don't I remember him? But I do remember Supercell, because Supercell is really good. I don't know if anybody's been watching that. That's like when it comes with black people with superpowers. It's on Netflix. So if y'all get a chance to watch that, definitely check it out. But yeah, so that's what we have on He-Man so far. I'm excited to see this upcoming He-Man movie. As y'all already know how excited I am because, as a kid that grew up with He-Man. And yeah, 1982, I was like an infant when that damn movie came out. So, I mean, when the original He-Man series and all that other stuff came out. So it wasn't until years later because they said it was in syndication. So with it being in syndication, it was always going to be a rotation on the Saturday morning cartoon circuit. So as many times I've seen them cartoons, it was relatively new to me. And then we had the movie that came out, I think, in 88 or something with Dolph Lundgren. And then, of course, years later, we still had iterations of Masters of the Universe, including Netflix even had a series and stuff up in there, and I watched that as well. So I say all this to say, what do y'all think of this story? Are you guys excited to hear this news about Jared Leto coming in as Skeletor? Now, and I should have mentioned this, but I'll mention it now. I'm not really a big fan of Jared Leto. He kind of can be annoying a lot of times. We try to do these pranky things to people on sets. I'm like, you're annoying with that. And I hate when I always hear stories because they always try to make them sound like they're cool. Like, oh yeah, I'm so cool because I put a rat in this person's bag and I gave it to them. It's like, it just comes across as pretentious Hollywood stupidity. And so yeah, so I'm excited to hear that he's playing the villain because I'm like, yeah, it makes sense that they would pick a Jared Leto and he's gonna eat up the screen, of course, with his over the topness as playing Skeletor. I'm gonna try to go in with an open mind and not compare him to Frank Langella because that's the only one that we have that we can compare it off of. But like I said, I'm really excited to see this film, and 2026 can get here fast enough. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Okay, so now Let's get into our third topic, and let's talk about this Jean Grey story that came out over the weekend. So a new report is suggesting that Stranger Things star Sadie Sink is in the running to play Jean Grey in Marvel Studios' upcoming reboot for the MCU. Now, you already know, if you've been paying attention, Kevin Feige is a huge fan of X-Men. That's like one of his all-time favorite comic books. And I know he's been taking his time in regards of how they're going to introduce the X-Men into the universe. We've already seen some iterations. Like, we already saw Wolverine reprise his role in Deadpool and Wolverine. We also saw Beast in, oh my god, what was it, the Marvels? Like, towards the end, like, we've seen him come up, but of course it was like, first of all, I liked the effect of what they did with Beast, but it was basically Kelsey Grammer's Beast. It wasn't Nicholas Holt's Beast, and I don't think we'll be getting Nicholas Holt's Beast. I think they're going to restart over from the beginning, and they're going to pick a much younger cast, and it basically makes sense with that because we have Sadie Sink from Stranger Things who is up for the role. And I was looking at her, I'm like, that's perfect casting. First of all, she's a natural redhead. She's a cute kid. And I'm sure, but she's probably not even a kid anymore. She's probably like late teens, early 20s. And she definitely gives Jean Grey vibe. Child, anything other than what Joe Jonas' ex-wife gave us, because she did not give good Jean Grey. No shade, but she didn't. You know, Sansa Stark from Game of Thrones. She was all right, but you know, they talk about that she's in the run to play Lara Croft in the new Tomb Raider series. We'll see how that turns out. Maybe she's a better actress there than she was as Jean Grey. But anyway, let's get back to the Screen Rant story. So shout out to them for this story. So it says, Marvel boss Kevin Feige first teased the development of an X-Men reboot in the MCU back in 2019, shortly after Disney's acquisition of 20th Century Fox. But it's only recently that the highly anticipated movie has seen some huge updates. This includes the hiring of Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes writer Michael Leslie to pen X-Men script. Thank God you're not going after the other guy that was doing them. The other that was writing the scripts for X-Men, because I didn't like a lot of what the X-Men scripts. I feel like when you've only got, out of all the X-Men movies you made, only two good ones, and that'll be X-Men 2 and well, Days of Future Past. Yeah, Days of Future Past was another one I loved. And where we got the oh my god, what was the other one that I liked? I actually like, yeah, I did like when they rebooted it with the other franchise. I mean, when they did the X-Men, the one, not the ones that Bryan Singer was in, because the only good Bryan Singer one, like I said, was the second one. That was the only one I actually liked out of all of the ones that he made. The first one was them wigs was a choice. Some of the lines were a choice, but it was a good kickstart to the franchise. The potential was there, but it wasn't like one of my all-time favorite X movies. X2 is one of my favorites, and like Matthew Vaughn. But I was trying to think of what his name was. So Matthew Vaughn, I did like what he brought to the X-Men series when they rebooted it and they brought in a different cast and then merged the old with the new, where we got to see, Storm, played by Halle Berry, finally get her just due in Days of Future Past. It would seem like everybody was getting what they needed to get in that movie, because all the other ones I felt like were just wasted opportunities in a lot of ways. So, but I haven't seen the Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, so I don't know if that movie was good or not. I'm not really big on Hunger Games because I've always felt like the Hunger Games was a ripoff of Battle Royale. So I never really, I mean, I watched them, they were cute or whatever, but I felt like it was a YA version of Battle Royale. Like I say, even though if you watch Battle Royale, there was a lot of kids in that damn movie. Now, the new report, insider Jeff Schneider, shout out to him, reveals that he has learned that Sadie Sink is in consideration for the role of Jean Grey in the MCU. Now, Schneider elaborated on this tip on John Roca's, I like John Roca too, shout out to him, he does a show on Mondays with Christian Harloff, the Hot Mic podcast. Sadie Sink also has portrayed Maxine Max Mayfield on Netflix's Stranger Things since 2017, which, sidebar, I did hear that they finally wrapped up Stranger Things, even though Onyx brought that friend to the show, brought that into the news when I last did the show. I think it was on Thursday. That was announced that they had finally wrapped up, but I saw like the pictures online with that they had finally wrapped up the season, and they've been filming that for like a year. So they also said that she's also known for roles in Fear Street, The Whale, and Dear Joe. Or Dear Zoe, sorry. Marvel Studios hasn't provided confirmation of Sadie Sink's casting in the MCU. So that Sadie Sink is in line to be Jean Grey. I think it makes sense with her being in Stranger Things and Stranger Things wrapping up next year. Her schedule is pretty free after that. Those kids are going to be red hot, and Marvel, as we all know, chases heat, right? I think that she is a talented actress and someone who Marvel probably is down to be committed to for the long term. There's no director on X-Men yet. It wouldn't shock me if some members of the X-Men were in Avengers Secret Wars. Well, I think that when it comes down to Avengers Secret Wars and they're already getting that stuff wrapped, I mean, getting that shit running, I do think that they need to, in some way, start picking and casting, some of these members of the X-Men and what they're going to bring. I don't think you need to bring everyone in there, but you can bring in just enough. A couple of the characters, especially someone as powerful as Jean Grey. Now, they said, as pointed out by Jeff Snyder, there is currently no director for the reboot, which means it's curious that the core members of the X-Men team could also be getting cast. Now, it's possible early casting for Jean Grey suggests the iconic mutant hero will be appearing in the MCU prior to X-Men, which supports Kevin Feige's previous comments, hinting that X-Men characters popping up in upcoming MCU projects. Now, actors are currently being cast for Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars, so Sadie Sink could debut as Jean Grey in Phase 6 crossover movies. Now, Sadie is casting is also interesting as she is younger than many would expect Jean Grey to be depicted in the MCU. This could hint at a younger iteration of the X-Men team being the first seen in the MCU. Perhaps Marvel Studios will even adapt the small original lineup of the X-Men team from Marvel Comics, which comprised Professor X, Cyclops, Iceman, Jean Grey, Beast, and Angel. A young X-Men team could be at the center of the MCU for many years, developing gradually as the MCU continues to grow. And I feel like that's why they want to go younger, is because they want to be able to lock these kids in for multiple movies. And that's kind of like how they think in regards to doing these films. Now, in regards of Professor X, I heard rumors that someone was saying that, oh, they're probably going to cast Denzel Washington as Professor X. I don't necessarily see that. You know who I was thinking would be a cool Professor X? I was even thinking Giancarlo Esposito would be a good Professor X. I mean, I like um Denzel, and Denzel did have to apologize for spilling the beans a little too early that he had a part in Black Panther 3. So I'm like, I don't know if you're supposed to say that. But at this, and Denzel is pretty good at keeping things close to the vest. But I think once you hit a certain age, and that's 70, you just in this IDGAF phase where it's just like, I just say whatever and I don't even give a good that goddamn anymore. But he's an OG, he's a veteran in the game. People aren't gonna hit him too hard. But in regards to that, I've definitely Sophie Turner. I don't know why I can remember that girl name, but I'm actually here for it in regards to Sadie Sink coming in as Jean Grey. So I'm definitely like, when looking at her, you definitely see the whole isms of her, that she could definitely bring in that emotional vulnerability that Jean Grey has, and because someone trying to find a way to control their powers and keep that Dark Phoenix under control if they decide to go in the direction of a Dark Phoenix. And I would like for them to do that, but here's the thing: we've already seen 2 movies where they have gone in the Dark Phoenix direction, but those 2 movies have been bad. I did not like The Last Stand. I did not think that movie was that great, and don't even get me started on the last X movie that came out, where y'all went into that whole X-Men Dark Phoenix phase, and who y'all had direct that damn movie. And for some reason, the one I cannot remember the director's name off the top of my head. And it's funny because I feel like I see it in my head, but but I cannot just like grab it and it come out of my mouth. Simon Kinberg. See, now I knew it was gonna come. Simon Kinberg. I was like, I see it, I see it, I see it. You know how I be feeling like sometimes I having my Automate Brown moments, like I see it. The letters is formulating, it's coming, but I just can't get it. And it came. Simon Kinberg. First of all, y'all need to fire him as part of writing all them X-Men movies, because the previous ones he did was trash. Don't even get me started in that 365 movie that he did. That was another bad one. And then you had old girl Jennifer Lawrence have the absolute nulligated gall to come and say, oh yeah, let's get Simon Kinberg to direct a movie when he doesn't have directing experience. And the movie was terrible. The writing was terrible, and I hated the arc of Dark Phoenix. So if y'all going to do this whole Dark Phoenix thing, and like I said before, that Kevin Feige is a huge X-Men fan, I really need y'all to come in and give us a real proper X-Men movie where you can give the fans what we want. And the good thing is with, Bob Iger at the moment back in power and he gave Kevin Feige his power back after the disaster of Bob Chapek. Um, I'm definitely curious to see where they're going to go with all of this. So, in regards of introducing the X-Men into the MCU and how they got their powers and all that stuff. So I said to say, what do y'all think of this story regarding the rumors surrounding Sadie Sink from Stranger Things possibly up for the role as Jean Grey in a X-Men reboot? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. Magical Mermaid is LOLing. But anyway, so okay, child, let's get into this mess because now I got a windmill on the Superman incels in this segment. So apparently David Ayer, who directed Suicide Squad, the first one, not the second one. The second one was directed by James Gunn, actually. That's funny because we were talking about the both of them. The second Suicide, and here's the thing, there were moments of David Ayer's Suicide Squad that I liked, but overall it wasn't like one of my top superhero movies. But I do enjoy parts of the movie. But then and James Gunn's one that he did, I like James Gunn's version more. But David Ayer did what he could at the time, and I think there was some behind the scenes shenanigans that was going on with that film, which is why it became sort of the disaster that it was. But he's pushing back at the fans because apparently people getting mad at him for showing love to James Gunn's new upcoming Superman movie. Which, by the way, y'all can be as mad as y'all want and feel how you feel. Your feelings are valid, as we're supposed to always tell people, right? I don't always disagree. I mean, I don't always agree with that, but because sometimes I feel like your feelings are valid if it comes from somewhere of just like understanding and all other stuff. But if you up in here just being a straight up dick for dick's sake, then it's like fuck your feelings. So but then the fans on social media were getting mad at him because he was showing love to James Gunn's new upcoming movies, which what I've heard is it's blown the numbers have gone ape shit online in regards like the amount of people that actually tune in to watch this trailer. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I wish I kind of had thought about prepping that, but it just came to my head. But I'm sure, like, who knows? Tomorrow I'll probably come up on here and give you all the numbers. So he's pushing back on social media trolls after they expressed support for James Gunn's Superman, the DC universe that he is creating. So according to MovieWeb, it says that James Gunn has taken the DC universe in a new direction. The first trailer for Superman was released on, well, it says yesterday, but y'all know it was last week. And fans are understandably hyped, me being one of them. But there is and probably always will be a section of the DC fan base that will call for Zack Snyder to come back into their last dying breath. We're going to talk about those. Now, David Ayer is a director who has bad blood with Warner Brothers and DC, but even he was able to set aside his differences with the studio to support James Gunn's new movie. Surprise, surprise, the Snyder fans weren't happy about it. Now, ahead of Superman's trailer release, David Ayer took to Twitter to share his support. Now, Ayer directed the critically panned DC EU outing, Suicide Squad. However, he insists that the studio interfered during editing and kickstarted a campaign to release the Ayer cut. Well, actually, they said hashtag Ayer cut, but Ayer asked his fans not to campaign on the day of Superman's big trailer unveiling. The new Superman trailer is dropping soon, and I know there's intentions of another campaign for my version of Squad, he wrote. As a filmmaker, I think he meant filmmaker, but he put filmmakers. He says, as a filmmaker, I want to support other filmmakers. I'm excited to see the trailer and have heard through the rumor mill. It's pretty incredible. I just want to publicly say it would be nice to stay far clear of Thursday for any campaigning. And here's the thing. Before we get to the rest of the thing, I'm actually glad that David Ayer came out and said this. He's like, there's no shade, there's no hard feelings with what they're doing over there. First of all, Peter Safran and James Gunn came in after all of this Snyderverse debacle. And to be honest, the last time Warner Brothers made $1 billion on a DCEU movie was the very first Aquaman movie with Jason Momoa. That is the last time they crossed $1 billion with any of the superhero movies they had cooking. So if there's anybody y'all need to be mad at, maybe be mad at the fact that the Snyderverse just didn't work. Why can't people just accept that instead of, oh yeah, I'm mad at James Gunn because justice for Henry Cavill and the fact that y'all did him dirty. Really? Because Henry Cavill is fine. Now, he may have been done dirty off of the fact of, they introduced him, or as I say, shoehorned him in the end of Black Adam, because it didn't feel like it was a natural progression. It just felt like it was some shoehorn thing to get the fans hyped. And then it didn't come to fruition because Black Adam bombed at the box office. Y'all have to realize this is show business. If the movie doesn't do well financially, you better kiss these potential sequels or requels, reboots, whatever. Goodbye. It's the same thing. What you expect. And for those of you, maybe the 5 of you out there that actually like Kraven the Hunter, y'all really think they're gonna make a sequel to that? The movie flopped hard. It did worse its second weekend. So when it comes down to it, maybe be mad at the fact that what Zack Snyder was doing with the Snyderverse just didn't work. Now, don't get me wrong. I loved his version of Man of Steel. I love Man of Steel. I liked Henry Cavill as Superman. I think he was the best Superman since Christopher Reeve. And I grew up watching Christopher Reeve. I was a kid, and my parents, my dad, who loves movies and whatever, introduced me to it years later when I was old enough to understand what the hell I was looking at on the screen. So Christopher Reeve will always be the closest connection that I have to a Superman. Then came Tom Welling over there at Smallville. I invested 10 seasons in the big red blur. Yes, I did. And to be honest, to me, there's been no excellent Lex since Michael Rosenbaum. He, in my opinion, is the creme de la creme of Lex Luthors that I've seen on screen. Nobody so far has been able to touch his Lex Luthor. Now, I know some people feel connected to Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman, I thought, was a little too comedic with his version of, or a little too hokey, hackneyed, or whatever the hell you want to call it. Just a little, he hammed it up a little too much as Lex Luthor. To me, I like what Michael Rosenbaum brought to it. Now, I'm actually looking forward to what Nicholas Hoult is going to bring to the character, because I really feel like he definitely, when I see him on that screen, he embodies Lex Luthor. And to me, I feel like he's going to be one of those people that, everybody's going to be, his name is going to be on everybody's lips after this movie comes out, because I've always seen the potential in Nicholas Hoult, and I really feel like he's been making the right moves with all the films that he's been in, where people are finally going to start recognizing him and acknowledging him for the amazing actor that he is, because I've always liked Nicholas Hoult in a lot of stuff. I liked him in that zombie movie he did. I loved him in what was it? The not Furiosa. The one with Charlize Theron, the one that, she played Furiosa, but there's been 2 Furiosas. So I liked him in Mad Max. I liked what he brought to that part. There's been a lot of movies that he's done where Nicholas Hoult is an amazing actor. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing him. And I know a lot of people just want to talk about Henry Cavill, but Henry is going to be fine. Like I said, he's right now shooting. Well, I said on my social media. I didn't say it on here. He's currently filming Voltron. He's good. He's got a movie coming with Madonna's ex-husband, Guy Ritchie. He's got another movie coming out with that we was just on the Jared Leto story, that he's signed on to be in an action film. They're going to be in a movie together. And he's also going to be in the new Highlander reboot that is being directed by John Wick 1 through 4 director Chad Stahelski. So Henry Cavill has moved on. I feel like it's time for these fans or these fanatics fanatics, same shit, different toilet. I just feel like there's just people just need to move on from that. And here's the thing, you have a right to feel how you feel when you watch the trailer. If you watch the trailer, you didn't like it, that's great. If you liked it, that's awesome. If it got you in your feelings and you started crying like it did for me, because when the scene with the little boy and the flag, somebody tried to equate that with, oh yeah, it's a little black boy and racist. I was like, okay, now go eat a bag of dicks on that. Like, you trying to incorporate, oh, look at the black boy that's in distress, calling on the white man to come save him. Have you ever seen a black? Well, hold on, I was gonna say, have you ever seen a black Superman? But word on the curb is there actually is a black Superman out there. But until they tell that story, we're gonna focus on the Kryptonian and not the white boy, because I want to make it racist. That's about change from Krypton. So what are y'all talking about? We're trying to bring race in this stuff. So Yeah, so that's what I want to say on that. But then I should have read y'all the thing. And now here's the thing. Now, what happened with David Ayer and all that other stuff that went on over there at Warner Brothers, that had nothing to do with James Gunn and Peter Safran. They weren't there at the time when all this was going on. They were brought in because what was going on with the people behind the scenes, Walter Hamada and all of them, it was a shit show behind the scenes. They did not show love and support and really value the superhero isms and giving you all the little intricacies and nuances that you get from the comics, which you get a lot of those Easter eggs and stuff in this trailer. And people are sitting up here thinking, oh, the trailer is like, it wasn't even like a trailer, it was a teaser. Oh, there was barely any dialogue. There's barely dialogue in any teaser that you ever seen. It was to set the mood, it was to set the tone for you to know what you're gonna get when this Superman is coming out. The atmosphere, the overall looks, the color, the visuals, the the move that is going to put everybody in. That's what this Superman movie was supposed to do. It was supposed to set the mood and get you to be aware of what you're going to get from this movie. Now, I do feel like we'll probably get a full-fledged trailer with dialogue and everything around the Super Bowl, which I think would be smart to do because it's February, and then I believe 5 months later is when the movie actually comes out. So to get people kind of like hyped up for it, I think it did the job. So now they said that now did Zack Snyder fans read the message, get in touch with their sympathetic side, and halt their campaigning for a day? Of course not. In fact, they even turned on David Ayer for liking the damn trailer. So the comments were littered with hateful messages, but of course it's Twitter. So what did you expect? You know, the incel, the king of the incels who actually runs it. So then Ayer returned to Twitter later that day to even defend his viewpoint from the angry fans. Said, "My lord, if supporting another filmmaker is so contentious, I'm just lost at this point. I cannot fucking wait to see Jamie's trailer, real talk, and I cannot wait to see his film. And absolutely, I'm sure he crushed it because that simple optimism of Superman is all over it. And the little kid in me needs that right now. I'm a bad guy for that, so be it." And that's what I felt like too. That little kid, you know, at the end of the day, I feel like when it comes down to some people getting interested in their inner child by watching animation, like cartoons, if you want to watch Mufasa and all that other mess, that's where y'all get y'all's from. Me, I realized this and it just clicked in my head. I was like, you know what? I feel like my inner child, I get connected to my inner child by watching Superman, a lot of these MCU and DCU and all these other live action versions of things in my childhood. Even earlier when I was talking about He-Man, like I connected with my inner child there when I was given the He-Man news. And I was just like, you know what? I feel like those are the things that helps me connect with my inner child, not necessarily like a Moana and stuff like that. Like I look at them, I'm like, okay, that's for little kids. Y'all can have that. I don't relate. I can't get into it. But things that I grew up with as a kid and finally seeing that turn into something sort of like live action, I feel like that's where I get to connect with my inner child in that way. So I'm with Dave Ayer on this, and I don't understand why people are getting mad at him. But what was I want to see what some of the comments. And look, y'all, at least y'all got the Snyder cut, the 4-hour version, which I actually thought. Wait, hold on, because they said this. They said it's not an overstatement to call social media a disgusting place filled with spiteful and hateful opinions. Unfortunately, that extends to movie fandoms as well. Now, while Star Wars fans are notoriously fickle, no one expresses hate like Zack Snyder diehard fandom. After all, they bullied Warner Brothers into releasing Snyder's 4-hour cut of Justice League, and they said, which really wasn't much better. Well, they dogged the film. But that was Movie Web that said that. Now here's the thing. I do feel like it did add a little extra layer to Zack Snyder's cut, but yeah, it's not something that I would want to repeatedly sit through. And I do wonder, you so-called Snyder diehards, do y'all repeatedly watch a lot of his movies? So one person said, "Wonder if Gunn will ever give you the same respect you shown him." So this is what, well, I don't even give a fuck what y'all names are. I'm gonna just read your comments. So the one said, "You're the boss for me. Tomorrow is about fighting for Henry Cavill against a movie that began with James Gunn screwing him out of his triumphant return. It's not campaigning per se, but it's sending a message that we won't tolerate CEOs who treat their actors like crap." I'm reading this because this is just hilarious. Like, what? How you have no, in the words of the Good Witch from the Wizard of Oz, you have no power here. What are you talking about? So a lot of y'all really think, oh, well, we're trying to send a message, but we won't tolerate CEOs who treat their actors like crap. Do you hear Henry? Well, some actors aren't going to really come out and say things against people who are in a powerful position who don't them, except maybe Blake Lively, who we're going to talk about later on in the show, and a couple of people. But I don't think there has been any hard feelings with Henry Cavill and, you know, James Gunn, because James Gunn, I do not believe he and Henry Cavill have even had any kind of a conversation or any kind of a deal with set that he was coming on to be Superman. I don't think that's what that was. And people need to realize, if you ever understood how a business works, you do know when the old regime is pushed out, a new regime comes in and they want to bring in their people that they're connected to. They don't know any of these other people that work underneath them that's in this place. So if things aren't working, heads got to roll. You got to clear out certain departments and you bring in your people that know what they're doing. It's the same thing with politics. When you get a new administration in, you want to have the people that you feel is going to do the job and get the thing done. So you bring them in and you get rid of them people that are up under another regime. And that's what's happening here in Warner Brothers. If things were working, as I said before, we would have these same people in here doing the job. But apparently it didn't work. So when y'all coming up in here and talking about it's fighting for Henry Cavill against a movie that began with James Gunn screwing him out of his triumphant return, it's like, how do you even know that it was James Gunn that screwed him out? All y'all see is what comes out in front of you. It's like some people even equated Aquaman with being attached to James Gunn. That wasn't James Gunn. That's not all up under him. That was all up under the previous regime. You're just getting these movies coming out at the time that they come out. They think, oh, because James Gunn is in there now, that's his project. It's not his project. His first official movie under James Gunn and Peter Safran is Superman. Well, I mean, Creature Commandos technically is his, which is out now, and that's getting rave reviews. I've been hearing a lot. I haven't even gotten around to watching it yet. I already know there's 4 episodes in, and I like to binge TV shows. So that's what that is. And I'm just sitting here trying to explain to you guys how it is. It's just like, I just don't understand the hatred towards someone like Dave Ayer showing love and support to another filmmaker. That's what we should be doing. If we're a community, especially working in the industry and in Hollywood, we should be showing love and support towards other people. And somebody, you know what? This under new management, I hate them people that was up in there. I don't know if some of the same people still up in there, but I know the main ones I was working with that pretty much screwed my movie and F with my vision. Fuck them. I hope they get hit by a bus. That's what I be feeling like in my head. But James Gunn didn't have nothing to do with that. And that's basically what Dave Ayer is saying. But of course, people are hard-headed with a soft ass and they don't want to listen. So if people aren't going to be willing to listen and learn, then fuck you. You can feel how you feel. Just sit up in your house with your arms folded, being pissed while this movie grosses damn near $1 billion. Or I'll even put it out there. I hope the movie does gross $1 billion while you sit at home pissed off because your Henry Cavill is no longer Superman. And meanwhile, Henry Cavill's off doing other things and living his best life and cashing and collecting his checks. So I say, and taking care of his newborn. Because you know he do got a baby. So I say all this to say, I know this is a lot, but I really had to go in and give y'all the full situation because it's a lot to break down. This is not something you can cut and break down into a little situation. And then somebody even called him and said, James Gunn's little bitch. He ain't going to release your cut. Whoever said that there was going to become there was an Ayer cut. You do know that if it comes down to an Ayer cut, whatever shot is shot. If he has to come in, he got to pull in all those same actors from his version. You got to get Will Smith and Cara Delevingne and all of them to show up in this damn movie again. And even though the Will Smith character was replaced by Idris Elba in the James Gunn version of what was it, Suicide Squad. So who said we was getting an Ayer cut? If we wasn't getting an Ayer cut back then when it flopped, who said we was getting an Ayer cut? So y'all sit up here waiting for cuts of versions, and then they have to go and secure the money, which they had to do with the Snyder cut. They had to pull money together to do shoots to add to what was already shot. So if y'all thinking that, oh, we're just gonna go through the archives and pull out scenes that we cut from the movie and put it in there, and it's just going to pop up on the screen and y'all going to watch it, then y'all clearly do not understand how Hollywood and the movie industry works. So I just really don't get all this bitching online. So y'all want to call him a little bitch. I was like, well, it takes one to fucking know one. That's what I would say on that. and then talk about how much suckery you gonna do yo WB and Gunn, all the support we showed you, and you dot the okay. First of all, if you're gonna try to read somebody, at least make sure the shit makes sense when you write it. It said you going to do yo WB and Gunn, all the support we showed you, and you dot this, huh? Anyway, this is why you just give the middle finger and tell them to sit and spin. That's what you do to the people that are the incels online. And this is why I don't really stay on Twitter. I just go post my shit and I go about my damn business. So I say all this to say, what do y'all think of this long ass story? Because it's like when it comes down to the Superman situation, it's like I gotta defend it. I'm a Superman fan. I'm a Batman fan. I think I'm more or less a what do you call it? I feel like I'm more of a DCU fan than I am, or a DC fan than a Marvel fan, because I like a lot of the characters and stuff in there. And I have seen, like, based off of what I've seen in the trailer and stuff, James Gunn so far shows that he relatively cares about superheroes, superhero films, and really bringing a lot of the nuances. And I really feel like a lot of people are going to eat crow. And this is going to be one of the best Superman movies we've seen in a long time. So I definitely want to hear your thoughts on this. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. Now, speaking of comments, I got to go and read all these. I definitely would love to see that. Timothy Chalamet, you said I was about to say not the porn star, Timothy Champagne, but Timothy Chalamet, yes, I would definitely love to see him as Nightcrawler. I could definitely see him as Nightcrawler, and I do feel like they need to bring somebody. You could bring a couple of A-listers, and Timothy Chalamet as Nightcrawler with his long, luxurious, curly hair, as he had in Dune and Dune 2. I definitely would love to see him in that blue makeup. I mean, don't get me wrong, I did like Cody Smith McPhee as Nightcrawler, and also like Alan Cumming as Nightcrawler. So we haven't had a bad Nightcrawler yet, but I do feel like if you're going to reboot your franchise, I would definitely love to see him in that. You think, no, I was going to say, should we get Zendaya up in there? I was like, no. Who should we get to play Storm, though? We need a chocolate girl up in there. I'm sorry. I'm tired of these racially ambiguous girls coming over here trying to play Storm. We do need a chocolate sister up in there to play her. I know some people wasn't feeling this, but I would like to see Keke Palmer as Rogue. I kind of can see that for her. Getting one of those, those Bonnie Raitt wigs, and you get up in there and she kind of give us a little bit of that southern twang or whatever. I could definitely see her playing that. But I know some people going to get mad. You can't cast a black girl to play white. And it's like, you can play around with the different things if it fits within that thing, if it fits within that story. But you can't change. It's like, but why don't y'all change Black Panther, make him play a white person? You can't do that because it's Wakanda. Wakanda's a fictional version of Africa. It's all about Black people and Black excellence. So therefore, if it's already been a story written where the culture is already embedded in it, you can't swap the race. But when you look at certain white characters, they don't really have like this, oh yeah, they're in their whiteness. They just automatically are white. Probably because white people don't really have like any kind of, no shade, cultural significance. You don't hear a lot of these white people talking about white pride, or unless you're a racist, or white power, or unless you're a white supremacist. So when it comes to personally creating certain characters that have their cultural significance embedded in it, you can't change the role. If it's a person that is automatically a character that's queer, you can't change them, make them straight. You can't. Same thing with if somebody's Black, or someone's Indigenous, or someone's Latino, or whatever the case is. If it's the culture is embedded in that character, you can't swap it out and put a white person up in there. So that's what people have to understand. Oh no, I believe that. First of all, I like Aaron Taylor Johnson. I do believe that he's good in the role, and that's what I was talking about earlier when I was talking about, when you get people who are just like great actors in a terrible film. He's one of them, but it's not gonna be a career killer. He'll be fine. He has 28 Years Later coming out next year, so he's gonna be fine with that. And he's also in Nosferatu, which comes out in 2 days, so he'll be fine. Like Aaron Taylor Johnson is good. Like he may not be able to. I mean, he may not be a lead movie status yet, but he can always go back to being a character actor in playing smaller roles in a lot of films, and he'll get he'll be fine. Mad Max. Oh, thank you. It was Mad Max Fury Road. For some reason, I could not remember that damn movie. But I was like, he was in that movie with Furiosa. He said Nick Holt got big, pretty eyes and a. How you know he got? Well, he is English, so you know he probably is uncircumcised, or as I like to call it, imported. Yeah, Nick Holt is he. There's something sexy about him. When you said Marvel stole a lot of DC characters, I wouldn't be surprised. Wait, is it because DC came out first, right? Before a lot of the Marvel stuff? Deadpool is a knockoff of a DC character. Wait, which one? Because I can't think of off the top of my head. You said X-Men came out a few months after Doom Patrol. Oh, it did. Quiet as it's kept. DC, I mean, X-Men also came out after Blade. Blade came out like what, 98? And um X-Men came out in 2000, and it irritates me because X-Men gets all the credit. When Blade was the one that really put like the whole superhero thing on the map when we took it seriously, and you see like even in the costume design that X-Men kind of ripped off Blade, where all of a sudden everybody's wearing all black. I'm like, they don't be wearing that in the comics. What'd you miss? A lot. As Wendy Williams used to say, miss a moment, miss a lot. We talked about Scream 8. We talked about Masters of the Universe because Jared Leto's been cast as Skeletor. We talked about Stranger Things, Sadie Sink allegedly being, rumored to, or it's alleged to, being cast as Jean Grey. And then we just talked about Dave Ayer pushing back at the incels on social media who keep trying to go after James Gunn's Superman movie, which it's to be expected. We know like everybody is not supposed to like everything. I don't expect everybody to like everything I like, and that's fine. But the fact of the matter is when you go in and you make personal jabs about, oh, you're kissing James Gunn's ass, or you're a bitch for the DCU or whatever, because we went hard for you and this is how you treat us, like, eat a dick. Like, who at first of all, if you decide to go hard for somebody that you don't even know on social media, that is your thing. You decided to get on social media and go windmill hard and get mad at Warner Brothers. Be mad at Warner Brothers for not taking their iteration or their version of the DCEU seriously. If they actually hired some people that know some shit about comics and actually cared about the characters they were putting on the big screen, then maybe that DCEU would still be around. But the movies were made. They weren't all that great. The audience spoke, which means a lot of them stayed their ass home and didn't go support these movies and making billion-dollar films on the same level as an MCU film. So I don't understand why that's not computing in people's heads. Like, are you slow? Sometimes I be wondering. I'm like, damn, are you slow? Like, why is it not getting drilled into the fucking brain? Like, I don't get it. Lots of commentators could be AI trying to create. Could be. Because they do say it'd be bots and stuff all over Twitter. I would not be surprised. Not Henry Cavill pregnant. I mean, I'm sure plenty of men have gotten him or tried to get him pregnant, if you know what I'm saying. I think you do. Because, child, I've heard some rumors. If you can read between the lines, but he's with some girl that he knocked up and she's having his kid. But we understand how the closet girls do, you know. I saw yeah, I did. I saw it yesterday because a friend of mine in my group chat, and I want to cuss their ass out for that, sent me the video. And I'm like, what is this you send to me? So I watched it. I'm like, what the hell? So I saw that she was in between the car. But then I saw other videos where I was going on Twitter and I'm seeing like the poor woman was literally in the car on fire. And I'm sitting there wondering because I had just did what was it? I did the Rangers game yesterday and I already told I went in on the Rangers earlier. I'm not gonna go and do it again. They lost. Surprise. Every time when they play home, it seems like they keep losing. But and then I heard that Rempe was on suspension. I was wondering why I haven't seen him, but I guess I didn't know about the whole suspension situation. So what was I going to say? Oh, so yeah. Then I went on Twitter this morning. I'm seeing like she's she's holding on to the rail and just like the handle and just like standing there as she's burning. And I'm sitting there like, what the? Like that was insane to me. Literally seeing a human being being barbecued and somebody filming it, and then you see a cop walk by like nothing. And I was wondering because I had just did the Rangers game. I was like, the trains, why are the F trains delayed? Because I was trying to get home. So I literally I took the D train to 42nd. Shut up. Because it was like I rode the D train to 42nd Street, then I went up and took the 7 train to Queens, and then I was sitting there waiting for the F, which never eventually the F was taking too damn long. So I just jumped on the E and then got my behind the rest of the way home. But yeah, so now I know why the F train was delayed, because apparently they had like this situation where some idiot set a woman on fire. They said while she was sleeping. This is why I don't fall asleep on a train. I'm always alert. I got my music. I'll be mean mugging. I'll be ready. Be like, yeah, try something. I'll fuck your ass up on this train. So I don't play no games. So, and then you got Elon Musk and stuff on social media. It's about, oh, the traffic is backed up and congested and people are scared to take. I'm like, people like who? Like, what are you talking about? You're not even from New York, so don't speak on New York. The only time you've been in New York a couple of times when you was being a lapdog to Donald Trump and you was coming to Madison Square Garden with him. So, show up to his rally that I worked, and then the UFC fight, which I worked. Those are the only time I seen your ugly ass in New York City. So you ain't never rode a damn train. You don't know what you talking about in regards of like the traffic. And yeah, the traffic is fucked up, because if you run around New York City with Bloomberg, because I believe that's what started all that foolishness. He built like all these little situations where people just walking in, where they built the streets to have like tables and all this other stuff. So they reroute the traffic in so many ways where cars have to go different ways. So yeah, the traffic do be backed up, especially if you're going through Times Square, Herald Square, and any of those main spots that the tourists pretty much go to. So yeah, that's why the traffic is a shit show in New York. If anybody with a brain from New York, we would tell you don't even get a car in New York. Like it's useless to have a car. If you need to go to places like Jersey or Long Island, whatever the case is, you got a better chance because you need a car to get around those places. But you got to drive around. Not drive around, subways. And I see a lot of people taking the subway. So I don't know what the hell you talking about. People scared. Millions of people take the subway in New York City every day because we have to. And then there's parts where it's like, yeah, we walk around New York because there's a lot of eye candy. And plus, you can get places a lot faster by walking. I don't recommend walking when it's 12 degrees outside like it was yesterday and today. But in the summertime, trust and believe, I be walking blocks. I walk like 2-3 miles in the summertime. The only thing I hate is that I be sweating and shit. But I'm prepared. I got my music. I be having my water. I have my towels so I'd be able to adapt myself. But for the most part, I love walking around New York. And you said, "Oh, DC Queen stand up." And yeah, I would say Keke Palmer as Rogue would be so puss. I do agree. Like, we need to get that casting. I would love to see Keke Palmer as Rogue. Even though, yeah, she's in her 30s, but she still looks relatively young. So, black don't cry. Okay, so let's get into our final movie topic, which would be this James Bond stuff. So yeah, they basically calling them effing idiots over there. Like, they don't know what the hell they doing. But it seems like Jeff Bezos is getting dragged a lot lately because, he's supporting who. Because he knew the writing on the wall, which kind of makes me think it was some kind of sorcery and stuff going on. But anyway, that's not about politics. Let's get into this. So apparently, well, maybe it is political because the Broccolis apparently can't stand Jeff Bezos and them over there at Amazon. So an explosive new report is alleging the future of the James Bond franchise is on pause. Of course, now, because of Andy Cohen, we got to go around with that pause stuff. Amid somebody from the Housewives called something on pause. I think it might have been Dorinda. But anyway, I was like, well, my chair was hooked onto something. But anyway, we're back in business. So there's apparently an ugly stalemate between the family, as in the Broccoli family, who controls the character of James Bond and the franchise. Now, shout out to Screen Rant for this story. So they said Eon's long-running spy movie franchise is based on the Ian Fleming books and kicked off in 1962. Now, over the years, 25 movies have been made with various stars in the lead, with Daniel Craig having the most recently portrayed Bond, ending his 5-movie tenure with 2021's No Time to Die. So it's about to be 2025, and it's going to be 4 years since we've gotten a new Bond film, by the way. Now, while the closing credits of that movie promise that a character will return, the upcoming Bond 26 has so far failed to make much headway, with no official casting for the iconic super spy being announced despite a multitude of rumors. Now, the Wall Street Journal recently ran a report offering an update on James Bond. According to WSJ, the relationship between the Broccoli family, who oversee the franchise, and Amazon, who bought the franchise's studio, Metro Goldwyn Mayer, who, Tony Goldwyn, y'all know him. He's part of that MGM family. Nepo baby. Anyway, so in 2022 has deteriorated. Now, according to the report, longtime franchise steward Barbara Broccoli has confided in her friends that these people are fucking idiots, and that is her quote, allegedly, amid concerns that she didn't trust Amazon with the future of her big screen property, partially spurred by a lack of marketing push for the reality series 007 Road to a Million and James Bond once being referred to as content. Now, Broccoli's distrust of Amazon has reportedly led to a new movie being stalled even further, as it currently has no story or no lead actor. Now, it seems that she is biding her time with the project, having shared the advice, don't have temporary people making permanent decisions. While some of these concerns seem to be centered around Amazon's streaming ethos, the company committed to releasing any future Bond movies, in theaters as part of their acquisition of MGM. They also said the report reveals that the franchise will likely continue to be on hold for some time to come. However, the kind of delay is not necessarily uncommon for the franchise. The hiatuses between previous James Bond movies actually last just 2 to 3 years, but have sometimes extended longer, perhaps most notably in the 6-year gap between Timothy Dalton's final outing, 1989's License to Kill, and Pierce Brosnan's first, 1995's GoldenEye. There was also a 6-year gap between Craig's 2015 outing, Spectre, and 2021's No Time to Die. Yeah, that was a long one. And that might have been because, wasn't it COVID and a whole bunch of other stuff that was going on at the time, why there was a huge gap? But they said that, however, should Broccoli's primary concerns truly center on the franchise's theatrical future, the relationship between the family and Amazon could eventually be repaired. While Amazon runs the streamer Prime Video, in recent years, there have been less pressures with their original movies than other streamers like Netflix, which usually only extends limited theatrical releases to its originals at most. Amazon, on the other hand, has allowed recent Prime Video movies to go full theatrical releases that have amplified the prospects of titles such as the biographical drama Ayer and Emerald Fennell's erotic thriller Saltburn. When I was sitting there thinking, like, when it comes to James Bond, I would expect that James Bond would be a theatrical release. It's always been a theatrical release. But I guess when it comes down to the theatrical release, they would have to find a way to continue to keep that in the theaters. And then, of course, it would eventually go to Prime Video. They would have first dibs, and people would have to go there to watch the film. So I don't understand why there's a whole stalemate thing. I don't know who behind the scenes doesn't know what the hell they're doing, especially if you're going to acquire the rights to James Bond. I would think that the people over at Amazon who acquired the rights, I don't know if it was Jeff Bezos or was somebody within the whole movie conglomerate that works in the movie department that acquired the rights, but I would think that you would have to, if you're going to get the rights to this franchise, that you would know at least what the hell you're doing or what type of movie that you were getting. Now, in regards of who I think should play Bond, I don't know, it's one of these three. Their names have been floating around for a while. I do like the idea of Aaron Taylor Johnson. First of all, he's very good looking. He is English. Actually, all three of them are. So, Henry Cavill, no. I love you, Henry, but I'm ready for you to just go off and do something else. Henry Cavill can't do every damn thing. Let's give other Brits a chance to shine in movies. Now, I like Henry Cavill, but as far as like James Bond, no. I do like Aaron Taylor Johnson because he's got like those rough, boyish, good looks. He's like half boy, half man. So he's kind of in between, kind of like Britney Spears. I'm not a girl, not yet a woman. So he kind of gives that. And he could probably do a lot of, I'm not saying that Henry Cavill's too old to do the action, but he is in his 40s, whereas Aaron Taylor Johnson is in his 30s, so he's still relatively young enough that he could play this character for a long period of time. Daniel Craig played James Bond well into his 50s. So I could definitely see Aaron Taylor Johnson pulling this off. We've seen him in other movies where he pulls off action. We saw in Kraven the Hunter. Even though the movie was terrible, he definitely did his thing with the action. He did his thing with the action in Bullet Train. Also, Kick Ass. He was good in that. So he's no stranger to action. So I would like to see him play that. Now, Regé-Jean Page, I like him too. Where's he been? At one point, Hollywood was hyping him up ever since he was in Bridgerton. I didn't mind him in Dungeons and Dragons, the newer version with Michelle Rodriguez and Chris Pine. I actually didn't mind him in that. But as far as like seeing him as James Bond, I don't know. Don't get me wrong. I feel like James Bond Y'all can make him anything. I know some people probably get mad. You can't make James Bond black. Says who? It's James Bond. Now I feel like now if you want to talk about making him into a woman, which I heard that was a rumor too, it's like no, because one of the things about James Bond that works for him is his maleness, his how he can be a little misogynistic at times, and the shaking out skirt, like all the isms that you get from James Bond, it's rooted in him being a male. So I don't think that you should be able to change the gender. However, if you want to bring in a different version of him and have him played by a different race, for instance, fine. And I think Riz Ahmed is such a good looking man. But Riz Ahmed, who's the first one, I wouldn't mind seeing Riz Ahmed playing James Bond. He is English. He's also a rapper, in case nobody knew that. Also, on the opposite end, we have Henry Golding. I like Henry Golding. Even though he was in that horrible Snake Eyes movie, he is relatively good as an actor. And was he also in oh my God, what was that Asian movie that came out with Crazy Rich Asians? I was like, what's that Asian movie, Crazy Rich Asians? Was he in that? So I like him. Cillian Murphy, no. I like you, Cillian, but I don't see you as James Bond. We've been shipping Idris Elba for eons in regards of getting him to be James Bond. I would like to see that. However, I do think that Idris Elba's a little too long in the tooth. He's well into his 50s. You don't want to start, I don't want to come across, I'm hoping it doesn't come across as ages. I wouldn't mind a much older Bond. Why can't we have, if you can still do the action, why not? But I would rather see Idris Elba in his own spy series and not be attached to James Bond. But we know people like Idris, and I would like to see him. And then also we have, what's his name? Richard Madden, who's in the back from Game of Thrones, and he was also in The Eternals. I like him. I wish his career was bigger than what it is, but unfortunately, he does the things he does, and I think he has done a spy series before. I think it was like I don't know. I'm trying to remember if it was really a spy series, but he did that show Bodyguard that I think lasted a season. He wasn't bad in that, and we've seen him do action and all this other stuff. So I would like to see Richard Madden, but I don't know if as Bond though. But I'm definitely like looking at it. I did feel a little something with Henry Golding, Riz Ahmed. I could definitely see Richard Madden. And also on the other side, I could definitely see Aaron Taylor Johnson. So those would be my picks if there was a direction they wanted to go into in regards of picking up a new Bond. But overall, I say with this, I hope they work it out. I do hope that we get a new iteration of James Bond. I don't know what direction we're going to go into, because here's the thing. In this day and age where everybody's talking about Me Too, time's up, there's certain things that we used to tolerate back in the day that we can't tolerate now, that certain James Bond may not be able to be the way that he once was with the misogyny. But if you focus on the fact that, yeah, if he beds all these women and all this other stuff, there's nothing wrong with that. That's just a part of who he is. It's in his DNA. But also, I just hope that it just flows into the times of which we are now in regards of government, spies, all other stuff, really cool action sequences, really cool gadgets, and that Aston Martin. So I say all this to say, what do y'all think of this story in regards of the Broccoli's allegedly, based off of the Wall Street Journal article, fighting with Amazon, and the fact of Barbara allegedly calling them effing idiots? I do find that funny, but that she would say that. And who do you think would make a good James Bond? They don't even have to be people mentioned on, the pictures that I posted. It could be anybody English, because they have to be British in order to play the role. We're not getting an American. You're not getting a Timothy Chalamet playing no damn James Bond. You're not getting an American. They got to be British. So I'll say, let's say, whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. Okay, so now we have comments. Let's get to them. To Oscar buzz for his performance in Queer Despite Me. Yeah, I've heard that too, that he's good in the role, but the movie got mixed reviews. And usually I think when it comes to Luca Guadagnino's movies, they kind of, the reviews overall on his movies are never like, oh, this is such a great movie. I think they've always been kind of relatively mixed. I know reviews were mixed on Call Me By Your Name, although I liked the movie. They were mixed on Suspiria, which sidebar, the Dario Argento version, they finally added it to Amazon Prime Video. So I'm like, oh, now I can go and watch. The only time I was able to watch it was, I had to watch it on Tubi. But now that I saw that they added the original Suspiria up there, I was like, oh, I'm definitely going to watch that because I love that movie. And then I didn't mind his version, but it wasn't my favorite. Also, he's done other movies. I haven't seen Challengers yet. I'm still trying to get around to that. Last night I watched a couple of movies. I watched Carry On, which I was like, finally Netflix got a good one up there, because a lot of their original films are shit. And I also watched Conclave, which is relatively good. I did fall asleep a bit on it because I was exhausted. I think it was from eating that damn Shake Shack last night. Gave me the itis. And I was like, it's late. I should not put this long ass movie on where they trying to, was about Catholicism, them trying to find a new pope after the pope dies. I shouldn't have put that movie on, because that movie's gonna put my ass to sleep. And from what I saw, it was good. So now I gotta watch it again. But yes, out there, if y'all want to watch it, it's on Peacock. Aaron Taylor Johnson, completely versed bisexual. But well, look, quiet as it's kept, they were kind of hinting at Bond being bisexual in one of the movie with Daniel Craig, the one that he did with Javier Bardem. There, when he was, I guess, making a joke or whatever about him being man on man. So he said, "What makes you think that this is my first time with a man," or whatever the case was? And so it was implied, even though I'm paraphrasing, that James Bond may have done it. And I said, in reality points, if you're a super spy and you're having to do certain things, you got to do what you got to do to get the job done. You're going to deal with people who are in powerful positions, CEOs, mega terrorists, whatever, that could be gay or bisexual, whatever the case was. And sometimes you can't just be bedding the women, you gotta bed the men too. But I feel like the reason why they scared to go there, because they're worried about how would this movie play, the Chinese, and now how movies go into those markets. Oh, we won't be able to play it there because they have a problem with gays and all this other stuff. So, or in certain markets, people are afraid to touch the homosexual homosexual storyline or angle. And I'm like, I think make it really even more interesting to make your spy bisexual, and have to, at times, you got to get into bed with the dude in order to, get the job done, and realize it's for the job, it's for the cause. I mean, maybe, yeah, he might be fluid in real life, but why can't we get a gay spy? Although I did hear there's a series with, speaking of James Bond, the actor that played Q, he's in some spy series where he's playing a gay spy with Keira Knightley. I haven't gotten around to watching that yet. It's on Netflix. You said Daniel Craig oral top, but he was giving a lot of oral and queer chat. Henry Cavill told about him. Yeah, I could chat about him in real life too, allegedly. Idris Elba DL trade boss. Queer was amazing, by the way. I had to watch 3 times. I can't wait till they release that on streaming. Well, not streaming, like on what do you call it? Like, once it becomes available to like buy digitally, I plan on wanting to buy that movie. Jamie Dornan, I could totally see that. He was roommates with was he? I think he was roommates at one point with Charlie Cox, who plays Daredevil, and oh my god, I just said Richard Madden. I think they were all three were roommates back in the day when they were first starting out as actors. Which I think is relatively interesting because they all have careers in Hollywood now, and they were all trying to come up together, and they did. But anyway, let's move on. And let's talk about Luigi Mangione, who made his appearance, had his day in court. I told you, like, everybody having a day in court. Diddy got his court day set up. Luigi already went into court to plead not guilty, as he should. And then but we still got Austin Wolf still trying to get his court date together. So Luigi Mangione pleaded not guilty to red room charges that could land him in prison for the rest of his life in New York State Court on Monday morning, where his lawyers say any potential jury would be prejudiced by the cinematic perp walk to which he arrived in New York City. Now, I don't know if y'all seen that video, and I wish. Oh wait, I think I put it on my TikTok where they did him. Where they had him do that perp walk in New York across the bridge. I'm like, wait, hold on. What is that? Because I'm like, close this. Well, I can't pull it up because my TikTok pretty much has, I I told you I had to log into all my stuff. Every time my computer updates, whatever, I have to log into all my social media platforms. I did post a video on my TikTok of him doing a whole perp walk situation where they literally had an army of, police and everything. They walking him across the bridge or whatever the case was. I'm like, why does this feel like a scene out of Man of Steel? Well, y'all did that with Superman, or some people have been comparing him to the Joker, as in the angle that Christopher Nolan was trying to hit with Heath Ledger's Joker in his was it The Dark Knight? And I'm like, you know what? You might be right with that because of the chaos that he had put forth. And then you kind of think like, some people actually agree with the Joker and what his motivation was for that movie. So yeah, but I don't understand this. Now we've seen mass shooters that get a cop that arrests them and walk them out if you white. Pretty much. If you don't unalive yourself, then you get one cop that jumps on and gives you a little escort to wherever you got to go. But when it comes to this young man who allegedly pow-powed a CEO of a company, where basically they're showing, and that imbecile Mayor Eric Adams, that idiot, I cannot wait until we get to the point of voting his ass out. One of the worst mayors in New York, and that's not saying by a lot, because we've had a lot of worse mayors. Giuliani being one of them. Mayor Cosby, well, I don't remember Mayor Cosby before my time, but I know Giuliani, couldn't stand him when he was the mayor of New York, and then we got this freaking idiot who seems to be wanting to side more or less with CEOs and people with money because he's been bought and paid for. This is why he's groveling at the feet of Donald Trump to pardon him. But I'm like, sir, you got to be tried and go to trial or whatever in order for you to be pardoned for anything. Like, what do you need to be pardoned for if you're so innocent and you need to step down? But that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. We can go in on him completely. But the way that they've treated him, it just goes to show that rich lives in New York City matter more than regular civilians. And this is the overall, I feel like, the overall moral to this story, that y'all feel like our lives don't matter. Y'all don't give a damn about us. All these countless people who's lost children due to or people who have been caught up in the middle of mass shootings, y'all don't give a good goddamn about them. Because laws would have changed a long time ago. But now they're talking about even putting Luigi to death. Putting him on a death penalty because of this. So, and calling him a terrorist. When I could have sworn the definition of a terrorist is if you kill more than one person, not shoot one person in the back. He killed a person. He didn't kill a multitude of people. And there's been people out here who have caused mass shootings in America. Why aren't they on the death penalty? But Luigi Mangione, y'all want to set an example to him because y'all don't want anybody else getting an idea on wanting to be a copycat and do the same thing this kid is doing. So this is what I feel like all of this is. Y'all are just trying to set an example. The only problem is a lot of these idiots over here in mainstream media who are trying to push this narrative, and I've even had some of y'all in my comments who have been like, oh, well, if he looked like he wasn't attractive, y'all wouldn't be saying this. Or if y'all trying to water it down to solely based on his looks. Yes, he is a good-looking young man. He does not take a bad picture. Even here, and many of the pictures I put up, I couldn't find one bad picture of Luigi. He can't help the fact that he's attractive. But why is that why is that the go-to argument instead of y'all wanting to have the real conversation that we should be having? The fact that the real murderers in this country are these insurance companies, is the medical industry. They're the real murderers. Not, okay, now, technically, you did take a life, allegedly. I don't know, I wasn't there. But according to them, that's what happened. But that's why the trial has to happen. You have to prove in the court of law that he's guilty. And it's going to be hard for them to find a juror who hasn't been affected by the medical industry. So they can get up there and lie and be like, well, you're going to be biased, blah, blah, blah. No, I'll be impartial. And then get up there and be like, free Luigi. Keep that shit to yourselves and find him not guilty. But that will piss these rich folks off. That'll piss these CEOs off. And sometimes y'all got to realize that, we're not going to take it anymore. In the words of Dee Snider, we're not going to take it. Then y'all going to sit up here and use us or make billions of dollars off of these bodies and denying them health care. So according to ABC News, they said the 26-year-old Mangione entered the Manhattan courtroom in shackles on his feet so he couldn't dance and under a heavy guard. Which I didn't understand that. I was like, there was literally 4 guards behind him when he was sitting at, the desk with his attorney. who you know is the wife of the attorney of, speaking of Diddy, of the Diddler. So yeah, we need all these people to be walking him in. I don't understand that. So yeah, you got all these people surrounding him. There's his attorney here, and there's him there. Those eyebrows is done, honey. Shout out to whoever threaded them eyebrows in jail and gave him a good shape up with the hair. And there he is, but this is what the attorney is going to be talking. I don't understand why. It's like he's sitting there cool, calm, and collected. He's not a danger, but this is the narrative that the media and the people behind the scene with the NYPD, whatever, they're trying to perpetuate this image, but we're not dumb. A lot of people are really smart enough to wake up to the situation and realize we see the game y'all are trying to play up in here. And they may be able to feed y'all this bullshit over there on mainstream corporate media, but we see through it. We see through it. We see through all your damn Maybelline, in the words of Peaches, to Miss Pocahontas in A Low Down Dirty Shame. So now, as they said that he appeared, in the courtroom wearing a maroon sweater over a light-colored shirt and a pair of chinos. And I think he had his prison shoes on because the shoes was orange. So that was the automatic giveaway. Now, Mangione spoke into a microphone saying not guilty to the 11 charges in the indictment, including first-degree murder in furtherance of terrorism. Judge Gregory Carroll presided over the arraignment. Now, the high-profile defendant appeared to not have a family, any family in the courtroom, but about 24 women who waited in line in the frigid cold. Yeah, it has been cold, child. It has been 19 degrees today in New York. Right now, it is 24 degrees in New York. That's how cold it is. Welcome to winter. Now, they said that about 24 women, as I said, waited in line in the frigid cold for public seats in the courtroom gallery, said they were there to support Mangione. Most of the women wore face masks, and a few appeared visibly emotional as Mangione entered the courtroom. So this is the angle that's starting to piss me off, because I see what y'all trying to do with that line. About 24 women waited in line in the frigid cold, and they appeared emotional as he entered the courtroom. So what it feels like y'all doing is y'all making it seem like these girls' pussies are getting puckered up over Luigi Mangione. This is fangirling. It's, oh my God, he's so hot. This is where they're trying to go with this. But it's like, I'm still keeping my foot on the neck of the reality of, we need to push that shit aside. We can get past the part that he's attractive. The reality is that the why he did allegedly what he did, which is a word that it seemed to be foreign to Mayor Adams and the NYPD and all these other people. Y'all already, tomorrow. Well, I'm gonna play y'all the clip actually of what his attorney said in the courtroom, because I want y'all to get an idea of all the other stuff. So they said, this is a grave injustice, and that's why people are here. This is what one of the women said as she arrived at the courthouse at 5 a.m. And this is what she told ABC News. Now, during the arraignment, prosecutor Joel Seidman said the Manhattan District Attorney's Office has primary jurisdiction over the case and will try before the federal prosecution against Mangione. The accused killer will likely be returned to federal custody. This is according to Seidman. Now, during the brief court hearing, Mangione sat stone-faced next to his attorney, Karen Friedman Agnafilo, who was wearing a sweater and white-collared shirt that almost identically matched what her client was wearing. Now, Agnafilo immediately raised concerns in court that Mangione's rights were being violated, alleging the case was being politicized, which I'm going to have to agree with her on. I do feel like they are politicizing what she had to, this whole situation with him. But I do have a clip where she went in on Mayor Adams and basically said that he's basically trying to influence the jury pool with prejudiced statements, and said his client is being treated like a spectacle whose right to a fair trial is being violated. And I absolutely agree with her on that. So we're going to play that clip, and then we'll come back with the rest of the show. Please hold.
I'm very concerned about my client's right to a fair trial in this case. He's being prejudiced by some statements that are being made by government officials. Like every other defendant, he is entitled to a presumption of innocence. But unfortunately, the way this has been handled so far, his rights are being violated. And as you know, Your Honor, there's a wealth of case law guaranteeing his right to a fair trial, but none of the safeguards have been put in place yet here. In fact, it's just the opposite of what's been happening. He's a young man, and he is being treated like a human ping pong ball between two warring jurisdictions here. These federal and state prosecutors are coordinating with one another, but at the expense of him. They have conflicting theories in their indictments, and they are literally treating him like he is like some sort of political fodder, like some sort of spectacle. He was on display for everyone to see in the biggest staged perp walk I've ever seen in my career. It was absolutely unnecessary. He's been cooperative with law enforcement. He had been in custody for over a week. He waived extradition. He was cooperative at all accounts. There was no reason for the NYPD and everybody to have these big assault rifles that, frankly, I had no idea was in their arsenal. And to have all of these, the press there, the media there, it was like perfectly choreographed. And what was the New York City mayor doing at this press conference? And frankly, I submit that he was just trying to detract from those issues by making a spectacle of Mr. Mangione. And there are consequences to this. He has a right to a fair trial. And I just want to put on the record statements that the mayor made publicly about my client. Nothing saying alleged, for example. And he said, I wanted to send a strong message with the police commissioner that we're leading from the front. I'm not going to just allow him to come into our city. I wanted to look him in the eye and state, you carried out this terrorist act in my city, the city of New York that I love. And he wanted to show symbolism. Your Honor, he's not a symbol. He's somebody who is afforded the right to a fair trial. He's innocent until proven guilty. And the mayor was talking to jurors, future potential jurors that elected him. Those are the people that elected him, that he is talking to and calling this man a terrorist. So, Your Honor, I just want to make a record of this and put everyone on notice that this has to stop. And my client is entitled to a fair trial and the presumption of innocence. And we're going to fight these charges, whether it's in the state or federal, to the fullest extent. Thank you, Your Honor.
Yep. So there's that. And yeah, so in the meantime, I was like, I'm sorry if y'all was hearing like the cross voice thing. I had to log into my TikTok. But I do have the video for that where you see him being paraded around like this perp wall that they showed that they were talking about. Well, it looked like it was across a bridge or something or another. So yeah, I happen to see this where you see this video here where it was like, yeah, they said they parading Luigi Mangione around like he's a Batman villain. So you literally have him walking around in this way, like, really, this is what we doing in America? Like, this is your version of just trying to set, I guess, an example of, of him in some sort of way. Like, I just think it's ridiculous, and it's a whole shit show that I feel like is going to backfire because, we're in this day and time where people just get so caught up in, the entertainment aspect or the shenanigans of, what's going on and stuff. And I'm just like, who are you pandering to? Like, who is it that you're trying to influence with all of this shenanigans and this shit show? So she also slammed last week's extradition of Mangione back in Manhattan to face charges, calling a massive display of force used in the transfer the biggest stage perp walk I've ever seen in my career. She also said that, she accused police and Adams of using Mangione as political fodder, which I do feel that that's what that is. And she said, why was he at the press conference? He shouldn't have been there. And then he was like, oh, yeah, I had to go down to the thing and I had to look him in the eye and I had to tell him, not in my city. You're not going to be doing that in my city. Because that's, how he talk. Like he got to eat in a bag of shit. That's what it sounds like when he talks, whenever, he opens his mouth. It's like, I need subtitles in that moron. So now, Mangione sat at the defense table conferring with his attorney and a prison consultant hired to be part of his legal team. He signed several forms before officers put him back in handcuffs and led him out to the courtroom. So we're going to fight these charges, whether it's state or federal. This is what Agnifilo stated. Now, Judge Carroll set Mangione's next court date for February 21st. Now, outside the Lower Manhattan courthouse, dozens of people claiming to be Mangione supporters chanted, how you going to say claiming when they actually have the signs? They clearly are his supporters. Said free Luigi, and the people united will never go for profit. Mangione supporters also held signs reading "Health over Wealth" in Luigi We Trust. One protester held a sign reading "United States Healthcare stole my livelihood. Prosecute malicious profiteers." So the people are out here, they are not playing. They out for blood. And I'm not saying that they literally going to be out here pow-powing CEOs, but you CEOs better wake the hell up and realize that, you know what, people not playing with y'all no damn more. And it said a Manhattan grand jury upgraded charges against Mangione last week. They include first-degree murder to furtherance of terrorism, which is ridiculous to me. He is also charged in New York with 2 counts of second-degree murder, one which is charged as killing as an act of terrorism, 2 counts of criminal possession of a weapon in the second degree, 4 counts of criminal possession of a weapon in the third degree, 1 count of criminal possession of a weapon in the fourth degree, and 1 count of criminal possession of a forged instrument in the second degree. Now, he faces a maximum sentence of life in prison without parole if convicted of the state charges. There is also a federal case against Mangione as well. One of the charges, murder through use of a firearm, would make him eligible for the death penalty if he's convicted. Both cases are in addition to the charges brought against Mangione in Pennsylvania, where he was arrested and where he faces charges including forgery and possession of an unlicensed firearm. Mangione was transported to New York on December 19th after waiving his right to an extradition hearing that morning in court in Blair County, Pennsylvania. Agnifilo said the theories of the 2 cases appear to be in conflict, noting the state case accused Mangione of terrorizing a group of people, while the federal case accused him of stalking an individual. Huh? Okay. It said terrorizing. Who's the group of people that he terrorized, though? That's what I want to know. So I call bullshit on that. Now, Danielle Filson, a spokesperson for Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, said this week that the state case will proceed in parallel with any federal case. Mangione, as scheduled court date for his federal case is January 18th. So that's all the latest that we have on this right now. I will keep you guys abreast of this story as it develops. I will say shout out to all of y'all out here with your signs, insurance lobbyists, line politicians' pockets, 117 million in 2024 alone. And they said, deny, defend, depose. You gonna lock this woman up, following up that sign like y'all did with that lady that was pissed off at the insurance company for denying her health care shortly after there was a situation with Luigi that went on, and y'all went and locked her up and tried to treat her like a damn criminal. So y'all, like I said before, so we're gonna start treating people like this, the damn Minority Report, that apparently the word deny, defend, depose is considered a words that we can't use. That's considered what? Terroristic words or whatever. Like, I just don't understand. It just goes to show that a lot of these people who these 1% really think that they're running the show. And for the most part, y'all been able to get away with that for a long period of time. But the people are like, no, we taking our world back, and y'all not going to continue to get away with the things that y'all get away with. There was another video I saw online, and I think I posted it in my stories, where there was some CEO that was sitting there calling us, making a toast and talking down to poor folks and all this other stuff. So, there are people out here that could give 2 goddams on what they do to people. They have all the blood on their hands and they don't care as long as they get to bathe in their, wash it off, by bathing in their money. That's the way that's how they feel about this whole situation. So they feel no ways tired about us. They don't give a damn about us. And if you don't give a damn about us, we don't give a damn about you. And I'm not trying to say I'm not condoning, and I need to probably say this millions of times for people to register, because people feel like just because you empathize, you understand with what these corporations have done to people and done them dirty, that I'm saying that that man deserved to die. Nobody deserves for their life to be taken, but also for that one life that y'all are so weeping over, that CEO's life. What about the thousands, hundreds of thousands of people whose lives have been lost because they've been denied healthcare coverage by their insurance companies or whatever the case it is? So what about those lives? What about people who can't afford to take their children to the doctor and have to sit at home and thug it out because their child has some type of bad cold that they can't shake because they don't have the money to pay for it? People should not have to be paying thousands of dollars for care. Healthcare should just be not even a right, a privilege. It should be something that just something that people get. The minute that you old enough to be able to live on and take care of yourself, 18, everybody should automatically be given healthcare. Why is that a problem? They've been talking about Medicare for all for reason. I'm windmilling both sides because Democrats be bullshitting with that too. When it's like, oh, Medicare, they were going to deny your health care. Bitch, I'm talking about all of y'all bitches. Y'all been denied us health care too. And then I was just reading the thing earlier about Biden not trying to help out the trans community, and I don't see him doing no Medicare for all. He could have been pushed that. But of course, you want to blame the other side. You want to blame this one. Look, you just as guilty. But so, fuck both sides is what I say on this. So, I say all this to say, what do y'all think of this story? the latest on Luigi Mangione and the videos and the clips and all the stuff that I brought y'all. Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. Speaking in the comments, we got a lot. They literally dressed Luigi like Lee Harvey Oswald. New York do be having the slimiest mayors. Yes, we do. They want to set a legal precedent to criminalize any dissent or violence of any scheme. That's basically what they're trying to do. Robert says, don't forget the politician that basically told poor people to F. Oh, yeah, that was the video that I saw. That was on social media. I think you sent me that because we can't afford to buy expensive gifts and $300 Christmas presents under the tree. Well, look, there's a lot of parents out here who go all out for their kids and be like, we foregoing the rent this month so that way I can give you all the best Christmas. You want to know something? I'm so glad that things worked out because I was worried a little bit about my coins this week, but I have to tell you, that YouTube money came in right on time because I was like, ooh, I was spending a little too much this month. And then all of a sudden, I was like, that YouTube money hit. I was like, ooh, you was a lifesaver. So for those of y'all who be telling me that I'm trying to be a YouTuber and I need to hang it up and I shouldn't be doing all this because you're a hating ass bitch with only 3 followers and you don't even have a picture in your profile, you could sit and spin on this. How about that? Because them coins is coming in my account. The more y'all hit that like button, that subscribe button. So, that's a shameless promotion, but please do. If you just now tuning in. And so, the complete legal system and security state is to protect capital and profit over all else, including its own citizens. Absolutely. Yeah, he was good looking. Look, he has no bad side to him, and it's not his fault. His parents fornicated and the genes was gening. It's like, why that got to be held against him? Can we just focus on the situation at hand? He has a right to a trial. Absolutely, regardless of how y'all feel. Regardless of how y'all feel, he does have a right to a fair trial. He said, "Ended 2024 is styling." Should I say with a smile? You talking about David Howard Thornton? What you up to, niece? He said they did twin up with that Catholic school uniform. Okay. A lot of us have suffered from the abuse of healthcare insurance companies and the pharmaceutical industry. The poor want justice and healthcare, goddammit. Absolutely. And look, I've had arguments with people who be like, but yeah, regardless of the fact, you still shouldn't be going out killing people. I said, you know what? Sometimes a drastic measure has to happen for people to wake the fuck up. Like, unfortunately, I've noticed that is the ongoing theme when it comes to things. I could talk you till I'm blue in the face. I could pretty much tell you in so many ways. But sometimes you got to knock somebody upside the head with a sledgehammer for it to compute. And unfortunately, it had to get to this point for people to have the conversation about the healthcare industry and how they continue to rip us off and rob us blind. So that's the overall argument. The mainstream corporate media can try to spin it in all the other ways that they want. And, them old clueless idiots up there at The View could sit up here and try to make Luigi look like this horrible human being. But why aren't we having the conversation that needs to be had? And I guess it's probably because none of y'all up there are affected by the healthcare system. When you make the amount of money that you make in the jobs that you have, you don't have to feel away or be hurting by the medical industry. You can afford to pay what you need to pay to take care of you, your husband, and your children. But those of us who are regular schmegular, we can have the conversation. Yeah, I just checked. We said make me live in the biggest dream, aka become rich. Oh yeah, I did see that picture of the Joker. But who would he be playing? In what universe would he be playing the Joker? Would it be? Well, look, I'm feeling at this point, can we just take a break from the Joker and whatever kind of iteration of Batman? Because I feel like that character has been one that has been overused. I would like to see other Batman supervillains be tackled. You said, kind of wish Luigi would have done what he did before the election. Because maybe we could have been in that part okay. I said we could have been in that part and Biden just did today for D-row inmates. But knowing him, he probably wouldn't have pardoned someone like Luigi Mangione because the corporate CEOs pretty much own Biden too. So I would not see that he would not send it. You know, he wouldn't help him because that would be going against the very people that, you know, a part of his donor situation. Trump ain't no better because he owned by the CEOs too. One of them being President Musk. Joseph Baldoni's lawyer responded, "Of course he did." Like, I just feel like it's going to be a ping pong. No, hold on. But it's about the publicist defend. Wait, hold on. So now I'm going to have to bring that into the situation because we're going to get to that eventually. I feel like this story regarding um Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, that's going to be a long one because it's a lot that's coming out in regards of them. But yeah, I see the publicist is speaking out. I don't know if it says child. Now they talking about Amber Heard is speaking out on Blake Lively's harassment complaint. So damn, I gotta. Oh, yep. Now the lawyer done spoke out. Oh my god. I'm telling you, y'all just giving me a whole lot of homework. But we just gonna have to read that as the live goes on because it's a lot. And he's only 40. He was born 1984. Shout out to him. Why do I think he was younger than that? Ill. Then we got Amy. Well, I can't stand Amy Schumer, but apparently she's standing in solidarity with Blake Lively, as she should. But I don't like her. I don't like her, and I damn sure don't like Gwyneth Paltrow. So about two women that's out of touch. Them two. But anyway, we'll get to all of that in a second, and I'll just add all of that into the show as we go on. And we have some other stuff, some other stories that we're gonna get to. But yeah, let's get to the rest of the show. Where we going? Oh, so let's get into this Drake situation because there's a lot going on with this too. So apparently Spotify, you know, after Drake made his complaints against Spotify, talking about how they were doing a whole lot of tomfoolery and rigor and sorcery and all kinds of behind the scenes shenanigans trying to destroy him, but instead pushing for They Not Like Us become this huge hit, which I just don't disagree with. Now, do I think that Spotify be doing some shady things behind the scenes? I do. We have somebody who's actually going to talk about it, where we have Russ, who is somebody who is an independent artist who, you know, I believe he's popular. Like, I think he has a podcast. He's also popular on Spotify. But he's like, I love you, Spotify, but I got to call y'all out on y'all stuff too. So do I think that Spotify has been doing some shady things behind the scenes, cooking the books and fluctuating some of the streams in regards of mainstream artists and making it harder for independent artists to become, you know, what they need to become? I do agree there's some stuff going on behind the scenes, but I also feel that Drake has wholeheartedly benefited from those same shenanigans and string pulling and sorcery and tomfoolery and all the things that's going on. I believe that Drake has benefited from it, but now that his star is waning, and, you know, when it comes to hip hop, certain artists have a short shelf life in regards of maintaining that A-list status before you kind of get aged out, and they always looking for the younger next big thing. And apparently, Kendrick Lamar mollywopped his ass in regards to that diss track. It is what it is, and the fans responded to it. Like, you could feel any old way about it, but now you sit up here acting like a damn Karen and whining and complaining because you saying that Spotify is doing some shady stuff, but I don't feel like that's the case with this situation. I feel like They Not Like Us, the people was the one that responded, and Spotify capitalized. That's what my feeling is on it, and I'm sticking to it. But instead, let's get into Spotify's clapback. They finally spoke out. They finally gave their thoughts, and here's what it says. Now, shout out to all hip hop for this story. Now, according to court docs filed in New York Supreme Court on Friday, which will be December 20th, the streaming giant refuted Drake's claims that it used bots to log 30,000 streams of the chart-topping single. They Not Like Us. They didn't put that in there. Now, Spotify has formally responded to Drake's claim that it inflated streaming numbers to benefit Kendrick Lamar's monster diss track, Not Like Us. Well, now they put it in. I just didn't further read it. Now, according to court docs filed in New York Supreme Court on Friday, the streaming, now I'm starting to sound like Charlemagne calling screaming instead of streaming. The streaming giant refuted Drake's allegations that it used bots to log 30,000 streams of the chart-topping single around its initial release. Furthermore, Spotify firmly denied it accepted undisclosed payments and biased recommendations in an effort to boost Lamar's track. Now, contrary Contrary to the allegations in the petition, the filing reads, UMG and Spotify have never had any arrangement in which UMG charged Spotify licensing rates 30% lower than its usual licensing rates for Not Like Us in exchange for Spotify affirmatively recommending Not Like Us. Now, Spotify employee David Kafer added that Spotify invests heavily in automated and manual reviews to prevent, detect, and mitigate the impact of artificial streaming on our platform. He continued by saying the following: when we identify attempted stream manipulation, we take action that may include removing streaming numbers, withholding royalties, and charging penalty fees. Now, confirmed and suspected artificial streams are also removed from our chart calculations. This helps us to protect royalty payouts for honest, hardworking artists. Okay. Now, Spotify also slammed Drake's legal route in the case, calling it a subversion of the normal judicial process. As the filing states, what petitioner is seeking to do here is to bypass the normal pleading requirements and obtain by way of pre-action discovery that which it would only be entitled to seek were it to survive a motion to dismiss. It's important to note Drake's suing his own label, Universal Music Group, aka UMG, the parent company of Republic Records. In November, UMG issued a statement after Drake filed a second pre-action petition. The suggestion that UMG would do anything to undermine any of its artists is offensive and untrue, it read. We employ the highest ethical practices in our marketing and promotion campaigns. No amount of contrived or absurd legal arguments in this pre-action submission can mask the fact that fans choose the music they want to hear. And that's what I feel like in this case, that is what's happening in regards of of Not Like Us. I do feel like that for the most part, it is what the fans want. The fans spoke. That is what they agree with. That's a song that they like. And it is what it is. And he can't seem to understand that, you know what? Collectively, a bunch of people are tired of the buffoonery and stuff that's going on with Drake and him being pushed up on the rap community. Where a lot of people feel like that he's a hip-hop colonizer. That has been the word on the curb that I've been hearing in the hip-hop circles, that people do feel like he's a hip-hop colonizer. They don't feel like he's a real authentic voice to the hip-hop community. A lot of people feel like what Drake gives is basically like the McDonald's of hip-hop, that it's fast food. And don't get me wrong, he's got a couple of bops, he's got some cute songs, whatever, but in regards to me going to the type of music that I listen to, Drake is not at the top of my list. He might be cute to look at. He does have I do like the fact that he add a little singiness to his stuff. I don't know what that Uchi Wally Wally bitch track album that he was trying to put out, where he was trying to put out that little Vogue album, those Vanjie beats. That wasn't working. You were trying to do the house stuff. And then Beyonce had to show you how it was done with Renaissance. That was like a half-ass album he done put out. I was like, oh, let me find out Drake trying to go into the dance music direction. And then I heard it. I'm like, you need to go back to the lab and fix this mess. We need the real Drake cut. Y'all out here talking about Ayer cuts and Snyder cuts and all that stuff. We need the real cut of this record because this was a mess. So that's what he gave, and that's what it was. And it was a mess. And a lot of people didn't been filling out recently. Drake has kind of been giving, a lot of his albums have been mid. In the beginning, it was great and all this other stuff. And then let's not forget about the argument that came out a couple of years ago with Spotify and the allegations of Spotify pushing a little narrative and cooking the books and all this other stuff in regards of pushing Scorpion on a lot of the premium users of Spotify. That some people was feeling like, oh, well, why is every category of music got Drake Scorpion? If you feel in this way or this type of music, I'm like, now I know that album is not R&B. It's not, it might be centered in hip hop, but it's not R&B. It's not dance. It's not ukulele music. It's not country. But you got him, and you got Scorpion all in the categories. And it's like, okay. Now I'm looking at you side-eyed, Spotify, because why is it that Scorpion is being held heavily, couldn't even say the damn word, heavily promoted on your, and I get it. If people want to listen to it, they can listen to it. The one thing I love about Apple Music and the amount of money I spend on it is like, I don't even know half the time that music's out. I'll be like, the album's coming, I put it in my reminder, and when it pops up, I listen to it. But they don't sit up in here and hammer you upside the head. We'll be like, oh, well, this record's out. So go listen to it. It just so happens I check my library. Oh, wait, this album came out? Okay, let me listen to it. Like SZA with all them damn 35-track records. Sis, why? Why did you do that with that record? I love you, girl, but the 35-track album you just dropped, I'm like, dang, why do I feel like I'm about to be stressed out trying to get through this whole record? Kind of like Taylor Swift with the, all them Tortured Poet Department tracks. And then you had, who was the other one? Chris Brown always putting like 40 plus tracks on his records. I was like, well, damn, could you at least break this up? So I can understand in that situation, but also, um, the people behind Drake's case are speaking out. So, the team of lawyers, I should say, behind the court battle Drake has waged with Spotify and Universal Music are basically not backing down. So we had to give their side as well, because I told her it's literally like pickleball. It's like a pickleball match between these two. So they all out here giving their side of the story. And speaking of pickleball, next to Madison Square Garden, they actually have a pickleball spot where I be seeing there be a lot of Asians in there playing pickleball. I did not know that was a heavily, a lot of Asian people play pickleball. But anyway, it looked like tennis, but it's like whatever. Anyway, it's not about pickleball. I'm just saying, like, they going back and forth like it's a pickleball match. So the proceedings arise out of a long-running feud between the popular recording artist Aubrey Drake Graham, shout out the government, and Kendrick Lamar Duckworth, not his government. Spotify's Friday filing in New York. So let me read that again, because that was a mouthful. Spotify's Friday filing in New York County Supreme Court, obtained by USA Today, reads the following. Spotify's lawyer describes the company as a stranger to the fracas and notes only a few of the claims in Drake's November 25th petition, including one that alleges it agreed to recommend Not Like Us on its service in exchange for a discounted royalty fee were aimed at the streaming service. Now, the company denies making the agreement and asked the judge to deny Drake's request for all parties to hand over evidence related to his claims, otherwise known as pre-action discovery, so he could file a legal complaint. Drake's petition relies exclusively on speculation or the claims of anonymous individuals on the internet in its claims, Spotify says in its filing. Now, as such, Spotify would be dismissed from the case and the burden of pre-action discovery per the filing. In response to Spotify's filing, Drake's legal team at Wilkie, Farr, and Gallagher, LLP, and in a statement that is not surprising that Spotify is trying to distance themselves from UMG's allegedly manipulative practices to artificially inflate streaming numbers on behalf of one of its other artists. And Spotify and UMG have nothing to hide, that they should be perfectly fine complying with his basic discovery request. The suggestion that UMG would do anything to undermine any of its artists is offensive and untrue. This is what UMG said in a statement to USA Today on November 25th. We employed the highest ethical practices in our marketing and promotional campaigns. No amount of contrived and absurd legal arguments in this pre-action submission can make the fact that fans choose the music they want to hear. Now, I do say this. Now, Spotify, you may have to tell on yourselves if Drake trying to pull this move, you might say that, but we didn't do it this time, but we did do it when it came to Drake. And that man keep him with egg on his face. So Drake, I hope you know what you're doing and you're not just in your feelings about all this, because it seems like you're getting real emo with this whole situation and you just mad because you got dragged by Kendrick. You tried to come for him and all the money that you make in the world was not enough to, have them not drag it, for him not to drag you down to the floor because you messing with somebody from Compton. This is not some manufactured creation in a lab, kind of like what it feels like you are in this whole situation. Now, so in regards to this, you know what? I'll keep you guys abreast of this story as it develops. You sit them here talking about that if they have nothing to hide, they would be perfectly fine complying with this basic discovery. And it's like, well, you have to let them know how you managed to discover these alleged actions when it comes down to that, because you just allegedly pulling something out your behind with no kind of evidence, unless these are the same tactics that was used when it came down to taking out other artists that tried to come for you in the past, and you were UMG and Spotify's golden boy at the time. So it kind of makes me wonder within that context, is tread lightly if this is the game you're trying to go in there and play. Now, in regards to the next thing I want to point out is that there's someone from a popular social media guy um, or independent artist who has basically been notorious for criticizing the system the art form operates, as in Spotify, or the system of the industry and how they, how they move to push certain artists to the forefront and cookbooks or whatever the case, all these allegations. Russ took to Twitter with an interesting theory to speak on all of this. So while it's interesting that we got Drake out here saying all the things that he's saying, we can get into this story. Hold on, I gotta make sure that I hit. Oh yeah, I did hit it. I was like, did I hit my lower third? He did. So shout out to Wrap Up for this story. Now, Russ is one of the most outspoken artists against the entertainment industry. The independent recording artist has expressed his frustrations with the music industry. Considering Drake's legal proceedings with Universal Music Group and Spotify, he shared his thoughts. Now, on Friday, December 20th, he tweeted the following. And let me pull that up so y'all can read that. It said, I love Spotify and I'm grateful for the platform that has connected my music with millions of fans worldwide. And this isn't about any label or artist in particular, more so just the system. Spotify knows who's faking their streams, LOL. However, they're not gonna ever, in my opinion, publicly expose any major labels due to potential consequences. Major labels would retaliate by pulling their top artists' music from Spotify. That would obviously diminish Spotify's value and attractiveness to subscribers. Spotify just punishes them behind the scenes, removes fake streams, and removes the song from playlists because they prioritize, makes sense, maintaining their access to major label content. Content. I said content. Content over publicly confronting stream manipulation, which essentially makes them a hostage of the major labels. Basically, Spotify publicly outing major labels is a lose-lose for everyone involved. Well, I don't understand it because I feel like the industry, y'all need at this point streamers to even get your music out there. People are not buying physical media anymore. There's still a handful of people out here that still buy physical media, but for the most part, most people are not really buying physical media like that. So now the conversation came following more updates from Spotify and UMG making public statements regarding their pending legal proceedings with Drake. Now on Friday, a spokesperson for the streaming service stated UMG and Spotify have never had any arrangement in which UMG charged Spotify licensing rates 30% lower than its usual licensing rates for Not Like Us in exchange for Spotify affirmatively recommending including to users who are searching for other songs and artists. So like I said, Drake is just upset because he's, getting dragged on social media and he's not able to control the narrative like he has been for a long period of time. But, some people on Twitter did jump into Russ's comments. And he did post he also posted this. He said, I know everyone loves to hate rich companies or rich anything, but to be honest, in this situation, Spotify is low-key the victim being held hostage by major labels. So a lot of it is these streamers are a slave to these labels, and people are just, I guess, they just, it's just unfortunate with this situation. But the people did jump in the comments and say, in the long run, do you think major labels will continue to exist as technology and social media keep growing? Another person said, what do you ultimately see as a solution for artists with this being the case? Do you think it's going to be about artists moving/distributing independently on a mass scale, or does some new tech need to be slotted in to fix this? No, another person said, is Spotify still the best option for independent artists? Probably not. Well, I don't know. That's a good question. Let's see if somebody commented. Somebody said, let me see the comment. So somebody said, give Audio Mac a try. That might be a good idea too. Someone said, I don't think there's, no, somebody's promoting their stuff on Spotify. So yeah, Audio Mac might be a good idea. Another person said, only time I see you is when you complain about a label, you need to roll out good music. Last couple of releases have been mid. We need good music. As a fan, we've been letting you slide with it because you're trying to fight the good fight. Put out classic with the rants. This ain't it. Okay. Another person said, I wonder if they can manipulate their stock market price by allowing fake streams. Another person said, you're a smart fellow, Russell, and your insight is also appreciated, always appreciated. All streaming platforms are basically majority owned by the top record labels. So there's a lot of craziness going on or whatever. I honestly don't have the answer on what could be done in regards to this situation, but if any music heads, any people that really know the ins and outs of the industry that aren't tied up into the whole slave of the record labels and stuff, definitely put your thoughts and stuff in here and let me know what your thoughts are. So yeah, I say, let's say, what do y'all think of this story? Because I know it's a lot. I still am trying to wrap my head around all the politics and stuff going on within the music industry. But yeah, whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. Not the McDonald's a wrap. Like I said, what is going on with Eric Adams' appointees? Ingrid Martin resigned, and now his top cop is accused of. Wait, what's pay now? You said, how you doing? Wait, he did some homosexual stuff? What's going on? I mean, I haven't been, look, when I'm focused and locked into the show, I have not been paying attention to a lot of stuff. But yeah, it's like Eric Adams got a lot more that he need to be worrying about, especially trying to keep his black ass out of federal prison and stop worrying less about thinking you're going to get brownie points by going hard on Luigi Mangione, because this ain't it, shit. So my friend sent me Lipo Lee talking about this screams groupie behavior, but that's just me. What he do? Oh, I saw that. Where yeah, he's lame. He is lame as fuck. And I want to know what does he have on Rihanna? Because he's showing, and I think this was at Mariah Carey's Christmas show, and I think this might have been, I don't know where it was, where Rihanna was. Was it in LA? Was it in New York? I don't know, because I know she was at the Barclays Center. And what was going on with her is the fact that he's basically like, you're supposed to be showing yourself, but why are you panning to Rihanna living her best life? You should be enjoying and living your best life too. If it came down to me, and I know celebrities or whatever, whenever I talk about celebrities, my thing would be Drag Race girls and stuff. I don't sit up in here and be having cameras and things in her face. And there was one particular photographer, this big back bitch that I saw, and now I don't like him because of my friend and how dirty he did my friend, but he's not a real photographer. You basically a groupie. And this is what it's reminding me of when it comes to, I wish I knew that fat bitch's name, because I would put her name up on here. But I saw her when I was walking through the crowd past Kevin Aviance's DJ booth, and I did give her a look like, okay, bitch, now I will take you outside and I'll beat your ass if you try to come up on my friend. Like, I get real hood when it comes to my people. But I don't know, because he did some shady shit. And from what I heard was that the Drag Race girls don't want him around. First of all, he went and attached himself to a situation, hanging out with the girls, ate and drank on their dime, and they paid for it, which that came out later on. And then I saw him at the Drag Race event where you was up there with your little camera and your light. First of all, I've seen his photography. It's shit. And you up in there acting like a groupie, hanging out with Candy Muse and all of them. I'm like, girl, if you go sit your big back ass down somewhere and do what you need to be doing, you should have been up in there taking pictures instead of trying to be a good Judy to these queens who wouldn't, who got their own shit going on. And that's what it reminded me of with Lipo Lee up in there, where it's just like, you're not a real bitch. You just be up in here trying to be a groupie to celebrities when he stay name dropping celebrities all the time. And then what was the cackle? And if y'all go on social media, you can look it up. When Mariah Carey came over and gave Rihanna a hug or whatever, and Lipo was trying to get up in there in the moment, and I think the security was like, in the words of Ruby Rod, be gone, bitch. Get that roach repellent. Spray her ass down. I can't stand that old liposuction victim. I just can't stand people like that. It's like, we up in here to do a job. If I happen to come across a celebrity, it's great, whatever. Hey, how you doing? Kiki, kiki, all that other stuff. But then when you're trying to do the groupie shit, you just look pathetic. I don't need celebrities to define who I am as a person. This personality is mine and mine alone. I don't need to attach myself to a tight-ass drunk Tiffany Haddish, or all them other heifers he like to befriend. So I don't need to do all of that to make a name for myself. My talent speaks for itself. Something he's still trying to find. But anyway. It just be a lot of you homosexuals out here that do this commentary shit that I don't like. Him, Parasite Hilton, I could go down the list. Anyway, let's move on. And let's get to this big story, this Blake Lively story, because I'm like, yeah, child, it's a whole lot of tea. We spill it on today's show. See, this is what happens when I don't come on for 3 days. I got to give y'all so much tea. So yeah, let's get into this Blake Lively story, which, child, it is a lot that's been going on with this Blake Lively situation. And then the story broke on Friday when she filed sexual harassment charges against Justin Baldoni, who was her co-star in that movie It Ends With Us, which I haven't seen, but I heard some people said the movie wasn't even that good. So yeah, so she basically, to give you all the gist, she basically accused her It Ends With Us director and co-star Justin Baldoni of sexual harassment. Now, in a bombshell complaint, the actress alleges that Baldoni attempted to mount a smear campaign against her and claims his behavior caused her and her family severe emotional distress. Now, according to a copy obtained by Variety, Brian Friedman, a lawyer for Baldoni, sorry, Brian, you might as well jump shit on this case because he's in the wrong and you're going to lose. A lawyer for Baldoni and his production company Wayfarer Studios fired back at Lively's complaint in a statement. He called the suit shameful and full of categorically false accusations. Now, according to the complaint lodged with the California Civil Rights Department, a meeting was held during the production of It Ends With Us to address Lively's claims and her demands for working on the film. Lively's husband, Ryan Reynolds, was reportedly in attendance at the meeting. The complaint states she claims Mr. Baldoni had improvised unwanted kissing and discussed his sex life, including encounters in which he said may not have received consent. Now, producer Jamie Heath had shown her a video of his wife naked, she said, and he had watched Miss Lively in her trailer when she was topless and having body makeup removed, despite her asking him to look away. She said that both men repeatedly entered her makeup trailer uninvited while she was undressed, including when she was breastfeeding. Because, she had just had her fourth child with her husband, Ron Reynolds. Now, she also allegedly demanded Baldoni not add any more sex scenes, oral sex, or on-camera climaxing outside of what was in the script of the movie that she had approved before filming began. Now, the film's distributor, Sony Pictures, reportedly approved Lively's requests, according to the complaint, but it goes on to accuse Baldoni of social manipulation and launching a campaign to destroy Lively's reputation afterward. Variety has reached out to representatives for Sony for comment. She also said that, or is claiming that Baldoni and Heath engaged in unprofessional behavior, including describing their past sexual relationships to her and speaking to her about their previous porn addiction. Now, Lively also alleges that Baldoni claimed he could communicate with the dead. Okay. Now he owed him a Brown. And it's including her father, Ernie Lively, who died in 2021. It was off-putting and violative for Miss Baldoni. They said the violative for Miss Baldoni to claim a personal relationship with her recently deceased father. I think they meant Mr. Baldoni. They put Miss Baldoni. A spokesperson for Lively referred Variety to a statement that actress gave to New York Times in which she said, "I hope that my legal action helps pull back the curtain on these sinister retaliatory tactics to harm people who speak up about misconduct and helps protect others who may be targeted." Now, I should say this. Baldoni's team did push back on her claims, saying that it is shameful that Ms. Lively and her reps would make such serious and categorically false accusations against Mr. Baldoni. This is Wayfarer Studios and its reps as yet another desperate attempt to fix her negative reputation, in which has garnered her from her own remarks and actions during the campaign for the film. Interviews and press activities that were observed publicly in real time and unedited, which allowed for the internet to generate their own views and opinions. Freeman's statement to Variety about the complaint reads, saying that these claims are completely false, outrageous, and intentionally salacious with an intent to publicly hurt and rehash a narrative in the media. This is according to Friedman. Wayfarer Studios made the decision to proactively hire a crisis manager prior to the the marketing campaign of the film to work alongside their own reps with Jones Works, employed by Stephanie Jones, due to the multiple demands and threats made by Ms. Lively during production, which included her threatening to not showing up on set, threatening to not promote the film, ultimately leading to its demise during release. If her demands were not met, it was also discovered that Ms. Lively enlisted her own rep, Leslie Sloan, and Vision PR, who also represents Mr. Reynolds, to plant negative and completely fabricated and false stories with media, even prior to any marketing had commenced for the film, which was another reason why Wayfarer Studios made the decision to hire a crisis professional to commence internal scenario planning in the case they needed to address. Well, child, they may have been saying all of this, but guess what? Blake had the evidence, and she preceded it, and that came out in the paperwork, the 35-page, accusation that she put against him. And Justin, you out here looking like boo the fool. Now, any other time, I was ready to come up on here and cuss her out and call all kinds of cunts and all this other mess. But here's the thing: Blake may be a bitch in other scenarios. She may not be the most nicest person, as we've seen in many an interview where she's kind of been very condescending and rude. We've seen the videos. However, she doesn't deserve the vitriol that she's getting now. So I'm going to say that. So just because you a bitch 99.999% of the time, that 1% of the time that you actually right in a situation, we got to call it out. So if he was out here doing his little dirty things and being off-putting and trying to be sexual with a woman who's married with 4 damn kids, and you trying to find ways to just get him under her skin and making little sexual comments and talking about your porn addiction and things. And look, just about Baldoni, this might be coming back to bite you in the butt. Because in an interview, once upon a time, you did talk about your unhealthy relationship with adult cinematography. So, years before his past issues with porn were named in a lawsuit about his alleged behavior on the set of It Ends With Us, director Justin Baldoni previously shared how he developed an unhealthy relationship with adult cinematography after being introduced to it at a very young age. He said, "I was introduced to Rhymes with Corn when I was 10 years old, long before I ever, could have an erection or even knew how I felt about anything." Baldoni, now 37. Okay, what age is he really? Because they're saying he's 37 here, then I'm seeing articles that he's 40. This is why you can't look stuff up online, because people age, the age ain't always accurate. So this is what he shared on a July 2021 episode of Sarah Grinberg's A Life of Greatness podcast. "We've sexualized this thing, so of course it becomes fascinating and interesting, and you're like, oh my God, boobs, and then hormones start raging. I was introduced to adult cinematography when I was 10 years old, long before I ever, could have." Oh wait, what? Did I post that twice? I think I did. So then he also added, "At the time, he sought refuge in adult performances when I felt alone or when I felt abandoned or when I felt hurt or something like that, because it was a dopamine rush. I didn't know that then. At an early age, I trained my brain to deal with pain with the dopamine hit." Now, on the podcast, he shared that despite never drinking alcohol or doing drugs, he could still have a vice and use something in an unhealthy way. Well, addictions come in many forms. It's not just drugs or alcohol. The addiction was seeing people having sex on camera. And what that does, and he does iterate or hit that point in this in this article, well, in the interview at the time, I should say, but it's also brought up in the article, is that people have a false equivalency of what they think love and sex is. And a lot of times when people watch these type of films, they think that that I need to have sex like this in my real life. It's all performances. People are contorting themselves and putting themselves in positions that in real life, people ain't doing all that. A lot of people ain't running around here getting banged out with their legs behind their head like a damn pretzel. So when you seeing all this, or they saying the dialogue and the extra moaning, which a lot of them do, that porn star moaning, child, and that's how I be knowing, like, okay, really? Now I know the dick ain't doing all that, but you're doing all that for the camera. So male and female. So he said that you have an entire generation of boys who think that when a girl says no or stop or that hurts, that means that's good. Now, his previous comments, are relevant again after Blake filed a harassment lawsuit, I should say, against her It Ends With Us co-star on Friday, December 20th, alleging that Baldoni's behavior towards her on set caused the actress severe emotional distress. The lawsuit also said that, The meeting was conducted to address her claims about a hostile work environment. They had to bring in a crisis manager, all that stuff. We already went through that. But now the real gag is this. So let's get into the A-listers who were mentioned in the situation. So a number of A-list celebrities were mentioned in the lawsuit Blake Lively filed against Justin Baldoni. Now, what I want to know is that because, he directed the film and he wrote, I think I don't know if he wrote the script, but he directed the film. And, as a director, I guess he was pretty much coming in and having a say so on what he wanted to include in the thing. So if you're a product of having a sex addiction, which I don't know if anybody ever has gotten over having a sex addiction, but I do feel like sometimes when you're an actor, or when you are a person of power, a lot of those vices or the things that you were doing, like when we talk about abusers or molesters and those sort of, and a lot of them, I told y'all, is floating around in Hollywood. A lot of these Chester the molesters are running around in this industry and doing things where they trying to exude their power over someone who is an actor or whatever the case is, putting them in compromising positions. And I understand, like, if it's for the story, it would make sense. But when y'all be trying to do that extra shit because you getting your jollies off, because what was it? There was a young actor that was talking about who's openly, I guess he's gay now, and came out. And then he said he did a movie and they was making him do all kinds of scenes where it was like he had to be naked and doing all kinds of other stuff, and just doing it because you were in a position of power and you pretty much were just creating that narrative of having that over them. And I do feel like there's people that are in those situations. And Justin Baldoni is in that. And he felt that because of Blake, I guess, giving him a hard damn time doing this movie, that he was going to go in and pull this narrative of, oh, well, let me hurry up and perpetuate this situation in case she tries to pull a fast one and tries to say that I'm being a nuisance on set or I'm trying to do certain things. So apparently she had all the tea in regards of there was some stuff that he was doing behind the scenes and trying to involve a lot of her friends or people that she's worked with in the past, including Leighton Meester, who she worked with on Gossip Girl, Ben Affleck, who she did a movie, The Town, with, and then even her own husband, Ryan Reynolds, who he accused of blocking him on social media because of the stuff that was going on. First of all, if he was a man, I'd have went up and beat the shit out of him if this is what he was doing to my wife. And I'd be like, lock my ass up. I don't care. I'll give him a little, if I have to, I'll give him a little bit of coin for my Deadpool and Wolverine residuals, because that'll be and that'll be the only money he'll be able to survive on, because his agency just dropped him after all this tea done came out about him. So some of the names, as I said, that were mentioned were that, and also Hailey Bieber. Now, they brought up Hailey Bieber because he said that Hailey Bieber is a friend of hers and she has a history of bullying other people, allegedly one of them being Selena Gomez. Now, we've heard the stories about that. And so he was telling his team to look into these celebrities. And these are Blake's people. Now, the lawsuit also referenced Taylor Swift. That's why you see her in the big thumbnail in the show. And as well as Anna Kendrick. I forgot to mention her too. Now, also, before we get to what they had said about those, Lively outlined 30 requirements, and I have a couple of them. So I want y'all to hold on. Let me pull that up, so that way, y'all can pretty much see that. So, hold on, because I got a lot of windows open for this. I told you I was coming with the receipts today. So yeah, there's that. And it basically said no more showing nude videos or images of women, including producer's wife, to BL or her employees. No more mention of Mr. Baldoni or Mr. Heath's previous porn addiction or BL's lack of pornography consumption to BL or to other crew members. No other discussion. And you know what? Those crew members that worked on that damn movie, you need to pull them into this. If it goes to trial or whatever the case is, you need to pull them in as potential witnesses. That's why I said, when y'all leave these paper trails and things, this is how y'all get caught up. It's a mess. And now your career is done, sir. No more discussions to BL and or employees about personal experiences with sex, including as it relates to spouses or others. No more mention to BL or her employees or personal times that physical consent was not given in sexual acts as either the abuser or the abused. No more descriptions of their own genitalia to BL. No more jokes or disparaging comments be made to BL and/or her employees about HR complaints Wayfarer had already received on set or about missing the HR meeting. No more inquiries by Mr. Baldoni to BL trainer without her knowledge or consent to disclose her weight. No more mention to Mr. Baldoni of him speaking to BL's dead father. No more pressing by Mr. Baldoni for BL to disclose her religious beliefs or unsolicited sharing of his. If BL and or her infant is exposed to COVID again, BL must be provided with. Wait, her child, she and her child had COVID working on this movie? They said BL must be provided with immediate notice as soon as Wayfarer or any other producers become aware of such exposure without her needing to uncover days later herself. Because you have to realize her baby probably, was still relatively young. I don't know at what age you can go and get your shots or whatever the case is that's going to protect your immune system. But, when you just have a baby and you got an infant, you got to be careful with all that, stuff coming out there. An intimacy coordinator must be present at all times when BL is on set in scenes with Mr. Baldoni, because there are some people sometimes where it's like, yeah, you got to have, unfortunately, an intimacy coordinator to make sure that when all of that choreographed sex scenes and stuff is happening, that the actor or whoever you on set with is not stepping out of line. You know what? In so many ways, I miss the good old days when it came to like shooting those sex, because people was like, we just did it and we just came up with the stuff and it was what it was. But now we're at a point where some people feel a way about that whole situation. So, to me, it's just like, you know what? Oh, and another thing, when it comes to her and him and this whole situation, it's like, look, I get it. I've worked in places where, people make jokes and they do like off-putting and they talk about sex and porn and stuff. And that don't bother me none because I have a crazy sense of humor too. But sometimes you got to be able to read the room. You got to know like people's personalities, because not everybody is as open and as cool with all that stuff. Some people are deeply conservative. Some people just be like, they smile up in your face and then they run in the background and they be like, so-and-so is making me uncomfortable. So you have to be able to read the room, and your sense of humor is not going to work on everybody. And I feel like everybody needs to learn that. So those people out here who's coming after Blake and talking about, oh, she's this and she's that. And I even saw, like we were talking about earlier, Amber Heard came up and had something to say on that, on the whole allegations. Maybe I'll even bring that up where she's speaking on that. And I'm like, I don't know if we should compare her to Amber Heard. But she said, social media is the absolute personification of the classic saying, a lie travels halfway around the world before the truth can ever get its boots on. This is what she told the outlet. This is what she told NBC News. And said, I saw this firsthand and up close. It's as horrifying as it is destructive. So that's what Amber Heard had to say. She already went through her drama with her ex, Johnny Depp, and that whole situation. And I don't even think I think Johnny Depp's career is pretty much done at this point. Like, I don't see anybody casting him anything. I mean, if they are casting him in something, let me know. But I know his daughter, Lily Rose Depp, her career is on the rise. And because she's about to be in Nosferatu, which comes out in 2 days. So her career is popping. I think Johnny Depp is fine. Like, I don't think his career is hurting at all. But anyway, let's get into the thing about the celebrities. I know this is a long video, but like I said, it's a lot that is coming out with this. So this is going to be a big one. Now, they said basically about Lively and her situation with Leighton Meester. Now, in the filing, Baldoni's team allegedly started planning as they anticipated the hypothetical scenario that Blake subtly hint at her experience working on set with Baldoni on It Ends With Us in post-premiere coverage, either in an op-ed interview or otherwise. So what it was that he knew that he was making this girl's life a living hell on set. And he was like, you know what? Just in case she tries to come out at me in some sort of way, we're going to have our stuff ready and say, like, you know what? Look at, based on her reputation of working with people in Hollywood, she is notoriously known to being difficult to work with. So if she is difficult to work with in the past, well, she's probably, I'm going to call cap on what she's doing, even though she may be in the right and be like, that one time she was actually on set and being a professional. Here this guy goes and is giving her a taste of her own damn medicine. And this is where I come out with the whole karma situation. Because I always say, how you treat people, that energy eventually gonna come around to you. And it looked like it did, basically in the form of him towards her. And now she's clapping back because she's getting a taste of her own medicine on being a nightmare on set, allegedly. So that's the way I'm looking at it with this. But they said the document suggests that Baldoni's team was throwing out the idea of encouraging journalists to scrutinize Lively's past working relationships with the three aforementioned actors that I mentioned earlier with Anna Kendrick, Ben Affleck, and Leighton Meester. These pieces will lively, I think they meant likely. Ciao. Daily Mail, I need y'all to proofread, will likely come out following any potential hit piece and or coverage from the premiere. This is according to the document. How did she get her hands on this, though? This is what I want to know. Who slipped her this information where she was able to be privy to what Baldoni was up to behind her back? This is what I want to know. Said our recommended approach would be to provide reporters who reach out for comment, should it be obvious she's referring to you, with the appropriate background information listed in scenario 1 to ensure their stories are balanced and the speculation can be turned to another one of the many people she has issues with, Leighton Meester, Anna Kendrick, and Ben Affleck, etc. When they were working on Gossip Girl together, Lively and Meester were rumored to have clashed due to their different personalities. Now, although the two actresses have never spoken in length about their relationship on and off the set, their former colleagues, executive producer Joshua Safran and fellow actress Michelle Trachtenberg, in particular, Dawn from Buffy, in a 2017 interview with Vanity Fair, denied speculation of a feud between any of the cast members. Now, also they had mentioned, like I said, with Hailey Bieber, allegedly it said like, well, her past is being a bully or whatever the case was. Well, I don't know if it ain't no past because I guess she's still out here being a bully. What else Hailey got going on? And then Ben Affleck, when they worked on The Town, Ben Affleck didn't have any negative thing to say about her as well. They said even down when the sex scenes they did together, she was a starch professional. She was very professional when she did the scene. That there was no issue. So I'm guessing it was Justin, you are the problem. So now let's get into the Taylor Swift thing, and then we can wrap this up. Because they mentioned her in the court document. Now, exhibits attached to the document, or to the complaint, I should say, showed an email which mentioned Swift that a crisis management expert working for Baldoni sent on August 6th. Now, according to the email, it appeared Baldoni's team was concerned with the overlap of Lively's supporters and Swift's fan base. So what it was that a lot of stuff that was going on, they were afraid because Blake and Taylor are good friends. We've seen them hanging out a bit, even to the rumor that that she was going to be in the talks of playing Dazzler in Deadpool and Wolverine. Which, no shade, I actually think that Ariana Grande would make a good Dazzler over Taylor Swift, but that's just me. They said in preparation for the hypothetical scenario of how viral an issue could become if raised by Lively, just based on her friendship with the superstar, a separate scenario planning document showed how they allegedly intended to plant stories against Lively and Swift. The aforementioned email read, "We have seen the most innocuous issues turn giant due to socials or the hugest crisis have to effect on social whatsoever. You just cannot tell at this stage, but BL does have some of the same TS fan base, so we will be taking it extremely serious." Wait, hold on. So a lot of you Swifties, are y'all Blake Lively fans? I need y'all to jump in the chat and let me know. So what he was afraid of was that with Blake Lively coming out with a lot of these allegations, that the Swifties, because she's friends with Taylor Swift, that a lot of the Swifties would jump online and come after him. So that's what he was worried about. So they said another exhibit, a separate scenario planning document for Baldoni's side, noted, "Our team can also explore planning stories about the weaponization of feminism and how people like Taylor Swift have been accused of utilizing these tactics to bully into getting what they want." And this is, ain't this the same argument that was made the other day with who was it that called Kendrick Lamar the Taylor Swift of hip hop? When it was like, oh, you just go and weaponize and use your being a white woman or whatever the case is to get what you want out of a situation. So that's what they're trying to say. She out here be playing the victim, but she utilizes her tactics to bully to get what she wants out of people. And then last but not least, the whole situation, they said there was an exchange between Baldoni and his team about Lively's husband, Ryan Reynolds, in May of 2024. Now, in the text, Baldoni was telling his team that Reynolds had already blocked him on social media, as well as his production company, Wayfarer Studios, on Instagram. He appeared to be telling his team to be prepared in case Lively would do the same, and the public would learn of their on-set tension and alleged issues with each other, saying we should have a plan for if she does the same when the movie comes out. This is what he texted his publicist, according to Lively's complaint. Just want you guys to have a plan. Plan makes me feel more at ease. So there's a lot of shenanigans and stunts and shows and things he was pulling in the background. And yeah, there's that. So yeah, there she go with Miss Swift with Tay Tay. You know, they're like bosom buddies, honey. This is gonna be lesbian tease. But so now the I should also point this out, and then we go, because there's been so much stuff, like I told you that was coming out. Now before that was what I had before the situation, but now it's more stuff that's coming out. So Hollywood Reporter is breaking, has this story where Justin Baldoni's publicist is breaking their silence and defending leaked texts about Blake Lively. So apparently because it said that Jennifer Abel gave her side to those bombshell internal messages and maintains Lively's incredibly difficult team were the real aggressors, while lawyer Brian Friedman warns anyone involved with this abhorrent conduct will be sued into oblivion. So now his publicist, basically said the following. They said that the text messages with crisis management expert Melissa Nathan were leaked as part of Lively's S harassment lawsuit against Baldoni and his production company, Wayfarer Studios. The actress had accused Baldoni of repeatedly crossing the line both on and off camera, while the director and co-star has denied the charges and maintains that Lively caused problems during filmmaking and deliberately set out to tarnish his reputation. So now Abel posted a defense of her crisis team exchange is detailed below on Facebook, saying that they largely amounted to joking about how fans were reacting to the Lively Baldoni feud during their marketing campaign and did not show that Baldoni's team ever took specific action against Lively. The Facebook posts have since been deleted, but the Hollywood Reporter has confirmed their legitimacy. Now, what the cherry-picked messages don't include, although not shockingly, as it doesn't fit the narrative, is that there was no smear implemented. This is what Abel wrote. No negative press was ever facilitated, no social combat plan, although we were prepared for it as it's our job to be ready for any scenario. But we didn't have to implement anything because the internet was doing the work for us. Well, that usually happens with the internet. We sit up here doing all the work and the sleuthing and things, and it's like we don't even have to work as hard. Sure, we talked about it, contemplated if we needed certain things, flagged accounts that we needed to monitor, work with a social team to help us stay on top of the narrative so we could act quickly if needed. And yes, we rejoice and joke at the fact that fans will recognize that our client's heart and work without us having to do anything but keep our heads down and focus on positive interviews with our client. Now, Abel continued with the following. As the text showed, we sophomorically reveled and again joked privately to each other about the internet's feedback to the woman whose team was making our lives incredibly difficult over the course of the campaign. I'm human. The long hours, months of preparation, on top of my day-to-day scope, it felt good to see that although we were prepared, we didn't have to do anything over the top to protect our client. Now, Abel then explained what she meant by claiming Lively's team was making their lives incredibly difficult, saying that I was notified at the start of the marketing campaign that the opposing team had been planning horrible stories about my client as a fail-safe if my client did not comply with the demands set forth for the campaign, which is why we brought on a crisis team, as it's not something that I do. My sole job was to put together interviews, screening opportunities, and speaking opportunities for my client in support of that film, a standard scope of work. I did my job. Now, what kind of woman would work against another woman who was a victim of all the things being claimed? Thanks for asking. After reviewing the evidence, facts, hard proof that countered every single thing that I was being claimed, that was being claimed, sorry, and demanded at the start of production. I made a choice to stand by my client of almost 5 years, who had dedicated his life to the equal treatment of others, especially women, who had no incidents of negative treatment of others, and who had wonderful community and team at Wayfair, who all held the same moral fortitude and lived their life accordingly. As representatives, we all have to make that choice. So I did that to the best of my ability and felt good about our efforts. Now, also on Monday, Brian Freeman, who reps Baldoni along with Abel and Nathan, started to go on the attack, saying Tag PR operated as any other crisis management firm would when hired by a client experiencing threats by two extremely powerful people with unlimited resources. The standard scenario planning Tag PR proved unnecessary as audiences found Lively's own actions, interviews, and marketing during the promotional tour distasteful and responded organically to that which the media themselves picked up on. It's ironic that the New York Times, through their efforts to uncover an insidious PR effort, played directly into the hands of Lively's own dubious PR tactics. Well, the New York Times ain't really, worth the paper that it's printed on anymore, quiet as it's kept, played directly into the hands of Lively's own dubious PR tactics by publishing leaked personal text messages that lack critical context, the very same tactics she's accusing the firm of implementing. Well, child, when they said the message between Abel and Nathan included a key exchange where Abel pushes the crisis team, saying, I think you guys need to be tough and show the strength of what you guys can do in these scenarios. Baldoni wants to feel like she could be buried, to which Baldoni wants to feel, hold on. It says what? Baldoni wants to feel like she could be buried, to which Nathan replied, of course, but don't you feel like he could be buried? Or am I reading this wrong? But when we send over documents, we can't send over the work, or we will or could do, because that could get us in a lot of trouble. We can't write, we will destroy her. Imagine if a document saying all the things that he wants ends up in the wrong hands. We can bury anyone. Now, as far as how these messages became public, Abel notes, because this has been my question, how did this stuff become public? Abel notes they were not subpoenaed and says, I had recently left my previous firm, Jonesworks, at which I was still with during this campaign, with a team who all participated in the campaign and a boss who oversaw and who had access to my work emails and work phone, so you could deduce from that what you will. So she basically saying it's an inside job. Somebody at Jonesworks leaked the paperwork, and she's leaked the information to help out Blake Lively. Now, Freeman has some fiery words to say about the leaked text as well, saying that Jonesworks is a PR company contractually responsible to promote and protect Wayfair and Justin. Our investigation has determined that on August 21st, Jonesworks utilized a lawyer and security guard to take possession of Wayfair's confidential information through confiscation in Jen Abel's phone. We are continuing to investigate the use of that confidential information, but demands are being made to Stephanie Jones and Leslie Sloan. And once we obtain the evidence, anyone actively involved in any possible connection with this abhorrent conduct will be sued into oblivion. So there's that. And last but certainly not least, and I've been saying that like 3 times because it's like, this is just ongoing. I feel like I'm going to be here for hours trying to cover all of this, but it is a lot. And I want y'all to get an overall consensus of what is happening. This is literally like a fucking tennis match in this whole situation. So now Baldoni's lawyer spoke out again. I was like, did I read this already? I think I did. But it said Tag PR operated as any other crisis management firm would when hired by a client experiencing threats by two extremely powerful people with unlimited resources. This is what Brian Freeman said in a statement to Us Weekly. Tag PR, also known as the agency group PR, was hired by Baldoni and is one of several firms named in the lawsuit. Now, Freeman continued, the standard scenario planning Tag PR drafted proved unnecessary as audiences found Lively's own actions, interviews, and marketing during the promotional tour distasteful and responded organically to that which the media themselves picked up on. And in a statement, Freeman claimed that the text exchanges between Baldoni and his PR team in the lawsuit were taken out of context, saying that it's ironic that the New York Times, I did read this. in the previous, and they connected it. I mean, they added, I see, to the Hollywood Reporter article, where they're basically saying that the same tactics she's accusing the firm of implementing, that the texts were taken out of context. So yeah, that's the latest on all this. It's a whole lot. This video is probably gonna be 30 damn minutes when I cut it up. But yeah, this is the latest that is going on regarding Blake Lively and this Justin Baldoni situation. It is, now this kind of makes me wonder, what do y'all think of this story? And also, does this make y'all actually want to sit and watch this damn movie? Because I heard, like, it's funny because like after all of this, I know some people be like, well, damn, now I'm curious to want to watch this damn movie. Not me. I can care less. Like, let me know if the movie was good or not. Like, this don't pull me in to want to watch this film, because I'm not really into like the whole drama rom-com thing about heterosexual relationships. I can give two shits and a flying fuck in regards to this, but I did find this story to be fascinating, especially when we heard the reputation of Blake Lively, and we've seen the videos over the years where a lot of people have done videos regarding stitching together a lot of Blake's past interviews when she hasn't been the nicest person. But look, Ryan Reynolds like it, but that don't still mean that, you know, she has a right to be a nuisance if that's what she's giving. But also, Justin, if you was out here doing all the things she's accusing you of, then you need to be dragged down to the floor regarding that too. So I know this is going to be ongoing. I will definitely keep abreast of this story as it develops, but I definitely want to hear from you guys what you think. So whatever your thoughts are on all of this that I had to break on down for y'all, let me know in the comments down below. I think it's probably going to be like 20 minutes. Okay, let me read the comments. Oh, you said, what is going on with Eric Adams? Oh, yeah, I read that one right. How on earth did Ken and Barbie earn over $1 billion? Look, that was Barbenheimer. And you want to know something? I actually like Barbie. I think it was because it was the marketing. Like when it first came out, you know, when it set the mood, like the tone, when we were talking about what is the tone of this movie, it's the same thing I said about damn, what the hell is that? Superman. Like a lot of people will talk about Superman or whatever. The teaser trailer, it set the mood. When you look at Barbie, it set the mood to 2001: A Space Odyssey, a movie I absolutely love. Shout out to Stanley Kubrick. I definitely love that movie. I'm still confused with what the hell it's about in a lot of ways, but it's like one of my all-time favorite. I don't know. I think it's the visuals and all the other stuff that was going on in that always pulls me in. So yeah, them using 2001: Space Odyssey as a reference to the whole, like, the origin of Barbie and all the girls, you know, getting excited over that. That set the mood for Barbie. And I didn't go to the movies to get caught up in the phenomenon of it all, but I did end up watching the movie when it came out on, I think it was HBO Max. That's when I watched it. And I liked it. And then Oppenheimer, that movie was long. There's a lot of talking. And I love you, Christopher Nolan, but it was okay. I was like, this movie's why does it take you 3 hours to show us how you built an atomic damn bomb? But I understand the concept of what it is. And it made $1 billion because so many people resonated with it, and not particularly a lot of women and young girls. And it's a multi-generational thing. I also don't think we need a sequel, but I heard that we're getting one. Oh, so you're saying in 2021 he would. So that's why I think they were preferring it to that. At his age back then, when he did the movie and all this other stuff, he was 37 years old. Now he is 40, so it was 3 years ago. I do be getting loud during the session. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but don't be up in there doing the extra fake bones like you trying to channel your inner porn star. I said, right in time, Kayla. Child, how did I know that was coming? But sis, you need to hold off and wait until you get all the information before you start going on this whole how the internet fell out of love with Justin Baldoni. Quiet as it's kept, most people don't even know who Justin Baldoni is. I heard he's done some CW stuff in the past. To be honest, I haven't watched a CW show since they canceled that black superhero show. I forgot the name of it. That's how memorable it was. But I haven't really been keeping in tune with the CW and what's going on over there. Amber Heard should not compare her situation. You want to know something? Quiet as it's kept. I believe Robert said the same thing when we was having a private chat online. He said the same damn thing. I said, I know Amber Turd not trying. Well, I'm calling her Amber Turd. She's not trying to compare her situation to Blake because it is not the same. Well, this is the unplanned sequel to. Can you imagine? Well, I guess that sequel didn't come in. And I saw like the author of the book stood in solidarity with Blake, maybe because she want to get that damn sequel done and bring somebody else in it. But I guess what y'all gonna do, the soap opera switch when y'all bring in another this actor, the role for this actor will be played by. Blake and Ryan got married on a plantation. So did Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck. Hey, Miss Girl. And you say you just got in at 6:05. I think the black show you're. Oh, yeah, that is what I'm referencing. Black Lightning. Thank you. My daughter is a Swiftie and she likes Blake because of her. Oh, so then I guess that is a thing because it's like, yeah, with their friendship, the Swifties get caught up in that, but then he's afraid that they're gonna come in with the whole bullying tactics. Well, we'll see how that all works out. And shout out to your daughter. How old is she? Shout out to the homosexuals with children. Now I live for the people in the community that's out here procreating. But anyway, okay. So how many more topics we got? Like I said, I knew that that Blake Lively story was gonna be a long one, but we got 3 more topics and we are done with today's show. So before we get to said topics, if y'all in the chat have not done it already, please hit that like button and that subscribe button. Also, be sure to smash the notification bell so that way you know when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. It definitely helps with the algorithms and increasing my cointadas over there at YouTube. So help a brother out. 20. Oh, I was thinking you was going to say like 7 or 8. I didn't know you was going to say a grown woman. I'm a grown woman. I didn't know you was going to say that. But anyway. Anyway, so let's move on. And let's talk about my girl, Wendy Williams. How you doing? So Wendy's back in the news. We did talk about her recently, and I meant to cut up that clip of the last story I did on her, but I forgot. It was a busy weekend. I did upload a couple of little short videos earlier, but I'm gonna get around to it eventually. But anyway, so Wendy Williams is back in the news. Remember when Sabrina, her court-appointed guardian, was out here saying that Wendy was incapacitated and she can't be out here hanging out and doing things because she's incapacitated, and I guess she was suing Lifetime or whatever. But it literally showed like Wendy is out here being like, incapacitated, bitch, where? But it's no shade. Why is she? Y'all know I love Wendy. She is a mentor in my head, but why I gotta go there with this? Why is she reminding me? Y'all know where I'm about to go with this. Why is she giving me E.T. in a wig? Remember when E.T. was in drag? Why is this giving me E.T. in a drag tease? I don't want to be. I didn't want to go there, but that's automatically the thing that popped in my brain as I was looking at these photos. So the talk show, when Sabrina came out and was like, she's incapacitated, and yeah, no shade, but she does look like the dementia and the aphasia is definitely taking its toll on her body, and it's eating away at the soul and the personality, which is what dementia does. And you start to lose a lot of your memory and your personality, and it's like you almost become childlike. So, she can't walk far. I'm sure she could walk a little bit, but it's like her ability to walk, the alcohol induced dementia, all that other stuff. So I definitely feel for her that she is where she is now. So the talk show host, who's been dealing with a myriad of medical problems, showed up in style to the special event, which would be her son's graduation. So her son, Kevin Jr., finally graduated college. I thought he was done with college already, but I think at one point he had to take a semester off to take care of his mother. But it's good to see like Wendy is around a lot of family who gives a damn about her and not around a lot of those vultures that were taking advantage of her in her most vulnerable state. And the fact that her court-appointed guardian hasn't been doing what needs to be done in regards of caring for Wendy. But she got her hands in that lady pocket in regards to her money, allegedly. Now, despite her difficulties, Williams made a rare public outing for the ceremony in Miami. The 60-year-old used the aid of a mobile scooter to get around, and her stature was slouched, but she was all smiles. Now, Williams showed that she still had her dazzling sense of style, excuse me, in a sparkly black gown. She paired the look with some black and white Chanel shoes. She finished off the look with a brown Louis Vuitton crossbody bag. Now, once inside the venue, she could be seen wiping tears from her face as her son Kevin Hunter Jr. accepted his diploma from Florida International University, Stephen J. Green School of International and Public Affairs. He graduated with a Bachelor in Arts in Economics. Now, didn't Funky didn't even go to school for economics? Because he always talks about in that show. When I went to school to get my degree in economics, I never, when he always says that line. So Williams was joined by her father, Thomas Williams Sr., who's 93, who was escorted into the event in a wheelchair. Damn, they both mobilized. But I understand her father because he is in his 90s. And, at a point, you got to be in a wheelchair because my grandfather is 91 and now he's confined to a wheelchair. And that was because, he fell down the steps in his house and he had an injury which required a lot of physical therapy, that sort of thing. The body don't recuperate like it does when you're younger. The older you get, it's like you got them frail bones. So now he's been confined to a wheelchair where he can't really walk around as much. And then when he does get around and walking, he has to have a cane, but he's got to take his time. Otherwise, he could fall over and lose his balance. Now, the former talk show queen's appearance came amid growing worries that she is retreating further into dementia. Williams has been suffering from Graves' disease, lymphedema, and alcohol abuse, among other issues. Now, new fears are coming from her loved ones who haven't been able to contact her and frantically worry about the quality of her care. Now, Radar Online can reveal those closest to her have been kept in the dark after the former talk show host, who's 60, was placed under a court-ordered legal guardianship in May of 2022. Now, last week, Williams' court-appointed guardian, Sabrina Morrissey, filed a new court document declaring Williams has become cognitively impaired and permanently incapacitated. A source close to Williams told Radar Online her loved ones haven't seen or heard from Wendy in months. The question remains, who's looking after Wendy? Well, if y'all haven't seen her in months, then why are we looking at her now? And she was at her the graduation of her child, when you got her sister Wanda on her right, her father on her left, and she's in the middle wiping away tears watching her son receive his degree. So somebody's lying here. So how's Radar Online pulling stories out their ass and trying to make up something to sensationalize the situation? But it looks like to me that she's with the family. She gets to see her son graduate. But maybe what they're trying to say is that whatever the court-appointed situations happens, like, yeah, Wendy is around us whenever certain scenarios happen, but she's not around us 110% of the time. So when she's not around with us, we don't know what's happening with her. We don't know what's going on, and we don't know what these people are doing behind the damn scenes. So maybe that's what their overall concerns of the situation was. So, but she does look frail in a lot of those pictures. I said, let's put up a picture of her where she was in her glory. So they also said that last year, she was diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia, the same disease that Bruce Willis has, and aphasia. The same year, the former radio DJ reportedly allowed a crew to film her attempt to make a comeback after the cancellation of her talk show, which of course not only showed, we understood the situation behind all of that, but it exposed a side that in so many ways I feel like is a blessing in disguise, because we got to see what really was going on. And you would go in and perpetuate a certain narrative all you want, but here's the thing: the thing with reality TV cameras or documentary cameras, they don't lie. So we seen Wendy drinking herself into a stupor, cussing, taking her wig off, something she would never do if she was 110% coherent. She made sure to be like, oh, I would never take my wig off in front of people. Like, you would never see me that vulnerable. But we started seeing those sides of her, because it's like when that personality of yours is different and it's changed up and you drinking and the dementia is kicking in, it's like, yeah, I'm going to start doing all these things I said I wasn't going to do. And we're seeing her in these uncomfortable moments, which in a way I look at it as it's opening up our eyes to the fact that maybe Sabrina wasn't doing what needed to be done in regards of taking care of Wendy and making sure that she had the care that she needed. And she should have been getting the care that she needed. This is what always worries me about when you bring strangers into doing conservatorships, because then it's like, oh, do you really care about these people? But then again, you had somebody who wasn't a stranger, Jamie Spears, who jumped in, was doing the things he was doing to his daughter. So all he cared about was the money. He didn't care about taking care of his child. So there's situations that we got to deal with in those situations as well. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. That just because you birthed them don't necessarily mean that they really care about you. Because we've seen, horrible parents and what they do to their children. Now, amid new reports of financial woes, Williams is now reportedly living in a mystery facility with limited access to the outside world and has only been spotted in public once at a wellness store in New Jersey in August with her son, Kevin Hunter Jr. But recently, like I said, in my last video, we saw her out and about. She was getting seafood. And then we saw her again where she's seeing her son graduate. So, I don't know. Maybe there's some truth to the story somewhere in there, but I just feel like Radar Online, y'all are up in here sensationalizing this because y'all want to tell a story. But I don't know. I'm not 110% buying everything that they selling, because I'm like, how is it that Wendy Williams is in this situation of like her family don't know what's going on with her, but we clearly been seeing her hanging out with her family. So it's kind of contradicting your story. But I say all this to say, what do y'all think of this story in regards to us seeing Wendy out here? As I said, Wendy Williams is a mentor in my head. She is one of the many people who work in media that I've always looked up to in regards of like spilling the gossip and the tea and all that other stuff and not giving a damn about these celebrity situations. Like, yeah, I tell the team, I get up on here, entertain y'all. I shut down all of this stuff. I close the blinds and I mind my business and go about my day. I don't sit and live, breathe, or all this celebrity news and gossip stuff like some of these other pundits who we trying to be besties with, big name celebrities and stuff because they need some kind of flex to make themselves feel like it makes them, it gives meaning to who they are as a person. When you need to find your situation within and make your personality at least interesting before you try to attach your lips to the anus of these celebrities you want to run around with at concerts like Mariah's. So I say all this to say, whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments what you think of this whole Wendy situation in the comments down below. Matt Gaetz ethics report revealing evidence he engaged in. Oh yeah, I saw that video on earlier, but I was like, there's so much stuff happening that I had accumulated over the weekend and today that I was like, I was not going to be able to fit all that up in there. But yeah, look, I'm glad when y'all bring this up in a thing because I could just respond to it and pass it and move on. It's like, yeah. So, but yeah, it was like we knew that there was some guilt behind some of the stuff Matt Gaetz was doing. He looked like a damn pervert. That big ass head. E.T. in a way. I mean, she do. It's so horrible that you said that about E.T. Oh, so you are he defending E.T. It's like, how dare you say that about E.T.? I was like, I didn't want to go there, but sometimes when the jokes come, I can't turn them away. But shout out to Wendy. Okay, so let's get into some Drag Race news because Raven is finally addressing the blackface allegations that people have been accusing her of because they be feeling like, okay, white woman, how you out here with all this, like you darker than RuPaul? And they're trying to say that what she does is considered blackface. So let's get into it. So she is basically hitting back at the critics over how she looks. Now, Raven, who's 45, who competed on RuPaul's Drag Race Season 2, appeared Thursday on the show Monet Talks, which is hosted by fellow Drag Race alum and Pit Stop Season 17 host Monet Exchange. Now, in the appearance, the TV personality spoke about pushback on social media from critics who say Raven has taken tanning too far to a point of blackfishing the public in an effort to mislead. Now, Raven described blackface as white people putting on black makeup, mocking and making fun of black people. Monet noted that blackface was typically done in spaces where black people weren't allowed to perform, which is why they would always have, white folks in the minstrel shows where they would put on the black makeup and over exaggerate the lips and all that other stuff, and they would get up there and perform because black people were not allowed to perform in certain places. So you get white people up there and doing that. And me personally, I don't think that that's what Raven is doing, but let her explain it. So the Emmy-winning makeup artist, who is white, I had to really point that out. I mean, if you were black, you wouldn't be accused of blackfishing. But anyway, that's them. Talk about it in the article. First dealt with the issue in 2002 when a confidant strongly advised not to do a planned drag tribute to Dionne Warwick out of concern it would be taken the wrong way. Raven initially scuttled the planned Warwick tribute on the advice of others and never revisited it. Said, I understand the history and I understand what blackface is. I would never do that. This is what she said. Have I worn afros? Yes, I have. You would be hard pressed to find a bitch that has been doing drag for, let's say, longer than 10 years from any ethnicity that hasn't not worn an afro. And also, should I point out, if you are Italian, some Italian girls have hair that literally is curly, like it will make it come out like an afro. So it's not that far-fetched if you see some Italian chick from, some sort of, with a tan, wearing an afro. But then I understand how some people would take that as it does come across as like you are appropriating black culture because people only assume that black people have what you would call kinky hair. White people have it too. If you ever heard Joy Behar talk about herself on The View, she has mentioned many a times like her actual hair, it gets flat ironed and all this. There's a lot of sorcery that goes into making her hair look the way it looks on TV. But her natural hair color is extremely curly, like Brillo pad curly. Or some people call kinky hair, which I don't like the word kinky. I would prefer that they would call like it's coarse. So she also continued and said the following. She said, and you didn't wear it because you wanted to be black. You wore it because why? Oh, I've got volume. I'm doing disco. Oh, yay. It's fun. I would never do blackface. And maybe that was the direction it was coming from. Because, yeah, like back in the, and I'm glad she brought that up because back in the days of disco, like even if you watch Saturday Night Fever, you see white women with the kind of like that Afro-S type hair. So I could totally understand like where she's coming from with that. So I'm trying to see the other side because some people be so quick to jump on here. Oh, no, you just blackface and you just don't want to admit it. And I've had people in my comments on social media who have pretty much come down on Raven over this. Now, Raven dismissed claims of blackfishing, saying that it was a way for people to stoke the fire of controversy, saying, well, blackfishing comes from catfishing, which means I'm trying to get you to believe that I am this. You know I'm not. And the thing is, if I were to be doing blackface or trying to blackfish, I would be doing this. I would go that color. I'm just going to give you a hint. I will go in like, I'm going to try and offend people and get all this blacklash. No. Now, Raven said friends were assuring that there was no blackfishing going on. Now, the person that advised her not to get into the whole blackfishing thing, I mean, to do the whole thing with Dionne Warwick, because it's like, okay, I could understand when, like, somebody being white doing a tribute to a black woman, knowing that you have like this darker hue to you that you tan, and then you mix it, you try to match the tanning when you do your makeup and stuff to match the tan that you already have. I can understand why people were taking that play. It's like, oh, you got this white woman singing doing a tribute to a black woman. Why not get a black drag queen to pay tribute? But then she could look at it as, but what if I am a fan of Dionne Warwick? But you could realize how this would look. Some people would think that you getting on stage with the overall look of it all. They would assume that, okay, now this chick is up here basically trying to make a mockery or do blackface. So I totally get the other side with that. Okay, so they also said now when the first thing first started, now Raven said friends were assuring there was no blackfishing going on, and she said when that whole thing first started happening, I was like, uh-oh, and then I thought, oh, Raven said, I remember talking to a couple of friends about it, and they were like, no, that's not what you're doing. I said, I know that, and they said, well, fuck them, who cares? But then again, and then let me see if she finished. And then she said, and I said, but I don't want to offend anyone. They were like, that's not what you're doing. And I said, okay. Raven said that despite the criticism about skin tone, seizing tanning was not an option. She said, I won't stop tanning. A doctor could tell me you need to stop, and I'd be like, are you sure about that? I need a second or third opinion. I like being tan, and I need to make sure my foundation matches. I only paint from here up. And I think she was saying like from the neck up. And she says, so the rest of it, I'm that color. I don't wipe it. I don't wipe off. It doesn't come off. Now, Raven, in the appearance, vowed to not to stop regularly spending time in the sun and visiting nearby tanning salons. Well, look, they did say that tanning is not good for you. That it's like bad on your skin. But if that's the risk that Raven wants to take, where she want to look like that lady from There's Something About Mary, if you want to sit up out here and look like that for the sake of your tan to look the way it is, then that's on you. And if it comes down to it, look, like she had to do with Matthew Anderson, we're just going to find her a new makeup artist in that whole situation, I guess. So I say all this to say, what do y'all think of this story? Do you think that Raven is blackfishing? Do you think that she is out here doing things where she, is trying to be a black? I don't think that's what that is, but I understand why people are making those allegations. I do feel like if she was out here doing Ozy Daisy and like if she was doing all that stuff, like if she was giving some sort of like a Shirley Q Liquor type of performance or doing other thing, who is a minstrel show that RuPaul has put on her music in the past, her old stuff before she did Drag Race, then I would understand like if that was the direction that they wanted to go into in regards of making that allegation. But some people out here, they like tanning, they like being dark. Some people like that complexion, and there's nothing wrong with a little melanin. And some people got to work a little extra harder to get said complexion. And that's what she wants to do. Then look, she gonna have to deal with the risks in regards of, the risk of tanning beds and being in the sun and all that other stuff. Because too much sun ain't good for you. But you do need that vitamin D, though. The D and the vitamin D. So I say, whatever your thoughts regarding this, let me know in the comments down below. Okay, so he says someone said Raven looked like deep fried Lisa Rinna. Okay, that's funny. She kind of does look like Lisa Rinna with the big lips and all something that's deep fried, child. That is funny. That screenshot of Raven's Adam for Adam profile that read, looking for vanilla and spice, no chocolate or rice. You made that up. Because that is funny. But I'm like, bitch, if you came up with that. But anyway, that's a mess. Okay, so let's get into the last topic, which is our final Drag Race topic, where I should have known this was going to happen eventually because, we are oversaturated with Drag Race girls. And it was only a matter of time before there's more Drag Race queens out here who are trying to keep up work. Whereas, and there's not going to be enough venues to house said queens. So now Selena Estidis recently spoke out to Ricky Cornish in an interview, and she talked about basically, that the girls are having a hard time finding work. So it's in between the economy, political discourse, and oversaturation of incredible RuPaul's Drag Race dolls around the globe. It's becoming very difficult for these girls to book gigs. Excuse me. Now, the LA-based icon Selena Estidis first appeared on our screens during season 15 of RuPaul's Drag Race, placing 6th just last year. Was it last year? Oh, yeah, it was. Wait, no. Oh, yeah, it did come in last year, because I remember this year was when Drag Race season 16 started. So, yeah, they're right. I had to think about that. Season 17 starts in January 2025. Now, despite only being out of the workroom walls for a relatively short period of time, Miss Estidis has warned that an oversaturation of queens, who she says are being churned out by World of Wonder at an alarming rate, has caused some of the gigs to dry up for anyone not on a currently airing season. So I don't know if any girls are willing to admit it, but the Ru girls are struggling out in these streets. There's an oversurge of queens and not enough gigs at the moment. It's really hard for the girls to stay above water. This is what she told Pride. She continued, the struggle may not be shown on Instagram. We can't let the kids know that, but that's the truth and the reality. There's no answer. I just think it's the economy and gay bars are struggling as a whole. There's definitely something happening. Now, Mrs. Titties also added that despite the lack of gigs, visibility is still just as important for queer people now more than ever, saying, I just urge that we keep on going out there regardless. They want us to shut down and not exist. That's not the case. This is what she told the publication. Now, drag queens have never been the ones to be kept in the closet, honey. We have to come out. Now, Selena may have a point, because I should say this, 210 contestants have appeared on the original flagship series, RuPaul's Drag Race, over 16 seasons. So as it enters its 17th season in 2025, the total number of queens who have sashayed into the workroom, and have already sashayed in my mind, because I told you I already saw season 17. And if you want to get the full iteration of what went down in that, because I went to the premiere last week, you could definitely watch that in a separate video that I have on my YouTube channel. And basically was just like, you know what, the total number of queens is going to be 224. And I do agree. It's like there's not a lot of bars that's happening. I think that a lot of the girls, once they hit Drag Race, they do become increasingly expensive. This is why you got to be able to book the things while you can, and you got to be able to have a plan B, meaning you got to like for example, Alaska. Alaska was on season 5 of Drag Race, and she did All Stars. Her career is thriving. That's because she has other things going on. She has Drag the Musical that is currently, on Broadway. That I told you I saw. I told you about it earlier. That I saw it on Friday, and she's got Jujubee in it. Jan Sport is in it. Luxmore London. Who else? I said Jujubee, right? So we got a lot of the girls from Drag Race that are in the show. And that's a good thing that we're seeing girls who, yes, they're necessarily like they're from previous seasons, but there are opportunities that are being created where they're being included in other shows. So because of Alaska creating this thing, and Alaska's also in it, she's created a place where she can get fellow Drag Race girls who can sing that comes in and does this show, which is great. And I think next month, Jimbo is going to be taking over for Alaska in her part. So it'll be interesting to see how Jimbo does in the part when she comes in next month. But I totally get it. It's like, and this is basically what they do. So it's like, yeah, you got a whole year between seasons before you get to make your mark. Otherwise, they move on to the next big shiny thing. And where they get propped up, I also want to shout out Lucky Stars for being the only one from Drag Race that I can think of off the cuff to follow me on Instagram, because I posted her picture and she reposted it in her stories, and I shouted her out and she actually followed me. I could have sworn I followed her before, but I don't know. Sometimes Instagram be acting a fool. So she followed me and I had to follow her back because I thought I followed her first. So Lucky Star is the only one. She's a force to be reckoned with, so definitely look out for her on the upcoming season. But I totally feel where Selena is coming from. And sidebar, I found it funny because I told her, speaking of Drag the Musical, I told you Frankie Grande was there too, right? And he was sitting in the front row. I was sitting at one of the tables on the side. And what had happened was Selena Estidis is good friends with Frankie Grande. So my friend who was there with me, who works in the industry, wound up messaging. Well, I think he texted Selena, was like, look, and took a picture of Frankie, was like, look who's here. And then Selena was like, I didn't even know she was in New York. So there was that. But yeah, I definitely feel for what Selena is saying in this whole situation. And I just hope that, you got to be vigilant. You got to be out there in these streets. You got to be able to create what you need to create, because you can't solely rely on a lot of these nightclubs and stuff that's going on. I do agree. A lot of the clubs are expensive. Like, they charge too much for the drinks, that a lot of, I guess, the girls with their booking fees, they be charged out the behind. But if you're somebody who is a jack of all trades, somebody who has many talents, you can take something and you can continue to extend your 15 minutes. I think Saphira has an event coming up where she's going to be performing somewhere or something or another. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but a friend of mine was telling me about it. Plus, with the Bianca Del Rio, she's been touring, doing her comedy specials for eons, but she's always been that girl with the stand-up comedy. It's just Drag Race afforded her the opportunity to branch beyond that. And so some of the girls have been finding things to do, but I do like the fact that she brought this up. Now, the question remains, what needs to be done about this? Because, yeah, it is being oversaturated. And not only that, we have to think about the amount of other spinoffs that are dealing with that. How are they dealing with that in their respective areas? Like, how are the Canada girls dealing with this? How are the France girls dealing? How are the Mexican girls dealing with it? How are the Filipino girls dealing with it? I mean, I know in Thailand, Pajana Hills owns a bunch of clubs and stuff out there, so she's good, and she can book the girls at her place. So, there's some girls who were able to do things in their own right, but yeah, for the most part, when you get a couple of those who are just like random drag race girls who don't have the business savvy or the wherewithal to expand beyond the clubs and are really struggling, that I also get as well. So I say all this to say, what do y'all think of this story regarding Selena saying that the drag race queens are struggling to find work? And that's because, there's too many queens out here and not enough venues that are booking these girls. And, we dealing with our own stuff in regards to like politicians coming down on trans women and drag performers and that sort of thing, and coming after the LGBTs, trying to shove us back in the damn closet. And so whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. He said Selena had so much potential, but she got overshadowed in a cast with Sasha, Mistress, Anitra, and the twins all in this. I think that might be true too. Is the fact that, Selena, I like her, but I do feel like that, yeah, she really didn't. You got to be one of those girls that stands out. I haven't heard anything about the twins. Mistress is out here doing her Mistress out here doing her thing. It's funny because a friend of mine said, you know what, who would be a good co-host for you doing a show together? They said me and Mistress Isabel Brooks. I was like, it might actually work. Me and Mistress could sit here and do a shady podcast together. I was like, who knows? Maybe down the road that would happen. I'll put that out in the universe. So, you said Selena also does mostly appeal to the Latino crowd and alienated anyone that doesn't know what a chola is. So I guess we're just trying to say that she needs to expand on her drag repertoire instead of just pigeonholing herself as a niche drag queen. Duly noted. But in regards to the whole thing, yeah, Sasha Colby, her career definitely go on for a long time because she's a performer through and through, and she was an icon long before she even stepped foot in the Drag Race workroom. Same thing with Bianca Del Rio. Bianca Del Rio had a career going long before Drag Race, but it was a way for her to push herself out there and get her to be known on a more international level. And so I feel like Sasha will forever be booked because she's a performer through and through, and she can put something together to keep them coins coming in. Sasha, speaking of Sasha Velour, she's always got stuff going on. She's writing books, she's creating things, she has nightgowns, so she has her thing going on still. Now, in regards of, yeah, Mistress got her own thing going on. The twins, I haven't really heard from them. The last time I heard from them, Matt Cullen did an interview with them, and I hadn't seen them since. Sidebar, Matt Cullen also did an interview that dropped today with Carmen Carrera that was really good. And if y'all have not seen that, definitely check that out, because she talked about Drag Race, whether or not she will come back to the show, the whole drama surrounding, ooh, girl, you got she-male. She talked about all of that. She addressed it. And trans fetishization, her beef with Gia Gunn, T.S. Madison. She talked about a whole lot of stuff. So it was a good episode. So if y'all get a chance, look at me promoting other people. But I promote the ones I like that's actually out here doing good in the world and not trying to be opportunistic succubuses. So definitely check that out if y'all can. And who else? Oh, Anitra. Child, Anitra done fucked up her own situation because she was getting booked to places and wasn't showing up. And it was sitting up here blaming her, allegedly, blaming her anxiety and stuff. And it's like, girl, you only get 1 year. Like we were just talking about with Selena. You only get one shot and one season to really get and do what you need to do before people stop calling you. And then same thing I was hearing about Eureka. But them drugs was the reason why she wasn't showing up and stuff. Hopefully she's clean now. Did you hear that Bill Clinton got hospitalized just now? But no, I did not hear that. But thank you for letting me know. Well, it could be old age. That man is a man of a certain age. So there's that. All right, so we are at the end of today's show. I was like, oh, how long are we gonna do a show today? So it was almost 4 hours. I want to thank all of you for tuning in to this episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. I will be back on tomorrow to give you the latest celebrity news, entertainment news, and gossip, and all the things that we talk about on this show. Thank you for tuning in. Please hit that like button and that subscribe button if you have not. Also, smash the notification bell so that way you know when we go. You'll know when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. I have noticed a lot of people have been subscribing, so thank you. I'm almost at 2K, which is another milestone. You know, little by little, I'm building this little house, this little independent house that could. So I appreciate all of you that, you know, be in the comments, in the chat, basically chatting with me and all that good stuff. So love you all for watching. And like I said, I'll be back on tomorrow. And until next time, which I said is tomorrow. Ciao, darlings.